Hello everyone, and welcome to Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting series on what if Naruto summoned the 9 demonic beasts. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. 20th floor of the tower. A single hoodie-wearing individual was zigzagging through the crowd of individuals taking the shape of either humans or creatures in humanoid form. Even the humans themselves had either animal parts, or add-ons to their appearance, whether it be horns or some other form attached to their body. Hey, you haven't paid for the meal, you thief. And I told you, your ramen tasted like shit. With that little back and forth, the blonde managed to conceal his location among the crowd, or rather contestants who were too focused on what lies ahead. Though the shop owner couldn't see the thief, said thief could see him as he fixed his glasses, ocean blue eyes fixated on the man who turned to leave due to what was about to begin, and as he went to leave, the blonde relaxed with a sigh. Standing up straight, he fixed his jacket while pulling off the hood to reveal 2 fox ears popping out with bright yellow hair, pointing out several directions due to its nature and how messy it was. Well, that meal blew. He grumbled while continuing to walk and look around the massive room they were in, as well as each individual among them. He's not here, too. He just looks ahead, more precisely at the large monitor on the wall that showed a timer counting down. Due to how large the number of people that come to take the exam, many proctors were made for each test. That, as well as no one, is in need of rushing, as they themselves are quite nervous, so they didn't bother stopping the blonde from cutting past them, as they would all eventually enter the exam, more so the ones up ahead looking more dangerous. Well, that wait was boring. As he thought it, he was already exiting the elevator with his hands behind his head. Wait, reading that upon the wall, without a word being said, he plops on the floor, still using his hands for a headrest as he stares at the ceiling with only thoughts filling his head. Now that I think about it, this is the second time as well I've been to this floor. He mumbled through his lips as he just sits up to look straight ahead of himself, just as a voice was heard. This test is a 30-minute survival test. 10 regulars will participate in one round and each will rotate every 3 minutes. Those who remain in the field after 30 minutes will pass the test. The regulars in the field may use any means to eliminate each other. Any regular left unable to fight will be eliminated and transferred. The order of entry is random. There is no compensation for early entrance. Participant 1015, Naruto. With that name being called, he quickly hops up and lands on his feet, staring at the doorway opposite of himself. The test begins now. With that, he just stares at the door opening, and what he got was surprising. Instead of some large attacker of monster-like guy, what he got was a normal-looking girl, casual clothing, normal long black hair, and pink eyes that seemed to glisten with the light on it. Next to her were several individuals who seemed to be steaming. One guy particular had the tips of his hair lit with fire. Yo, he shouts. Guessing you've done pretty well so far. That seemed to have an effect. The seriousness on her face immediately became confused, and all the blonde did was smile friendly at her. Seeing she started to relax, but her gaze was fixated on him as she watched him make his way to sit against the pillar that was in the center of the room. Not gonna fight, he speaks nonchalantly with a smile. Test doesn't say we have to unless we want fewer people to fight in the next part of the test. Yet that seemed to have triggered the girl, whose eyes narrowed suspiciously at the blonde, who began to sweat, yet her gaze relaxed upon taking in her appearance, most importantly his ears that seemed to twitch, causing her to easily display the facial expression of wanting to feel them, gaining a small chuckle from blonde, who snapped her out as she blushes in embarrassment upon seeing him tap his ears. Quickly she makes her way to sit on Naruto's right, but gave enough distance so they weren't sitting directly next to each other. Since we got 2 minutes, I'll introduce myself. Call me Naruto, and no, I don't have the last name, in case you're wondering. When he said that, she looked at him, intrigued at why he had a need to say that last part, while the blonde thought about the multiple times he was asked to put in the last name, only to decline. After a few seconds of thinking passed, she finally spoke to the blonde. Yiwa, no last name either, huh? Despite him smiling cheerfully and also giving off a kind aura, she herself still stared at the blonde with suspicion. Silence is what came next, as the blonde felt worried while Yiwa was in her own thoughts. Beep. That got their attention as their gazes directed towards the door before the two stood up simultaneously to be introduced. Another sight of an average-looking teen entering the room, his purple hair giving him a distinct appearance to keep track, including the smug expression he put up upon seeing Yiwa, which he approaches. Well, surprised to already see you. He was making his way towards her. Already miss me that much, Ms. Yian? The moment he heard that name, Naruto's eyes widened just a little and looks over towards her with curiosity as he watched him stop in front of her, placing a hand on her shoulder which caused her to glare at him as she brushes it off, but that just causes him to wage his finger. Don't forget you failed your last test and have a debt to my dad's company. He proceeds to move closer in order to put his arm around her shoulder, much to her annoyance. So why don't you be a good girl and listen to me? Hey, blonde, mind beating it? This simply caused to blink in surprise while the kid showed annoyance, removing his arm as he approached him to stand before him. Don't ruin my day. Run off now because you'll die if you continue this test with me in it, otherwise I'll just beat you up now to get it over with. His words struck home, but not in the way he expected. What he got wasn't just a laugh but the expression of complete amusement on his face. This evening caused Yua to smirk at seeing the kid showing anger at being put off like that before his eyes widen and narrow. Oh, now I see, you're from Lopo Bia FA. In an instant, things took a turn towards hell as Naruto's hand suddenly outstretched to grab him by his face. This scene shocking Yua, who watched the usually calm and relaxed blonde lift him and pull him closer to his own face. Don't you ever, and I mean ever. He lifts his glasses just enough to show a change only he could see. What looked like ocean blue with them on was now a crimson red with the pupil slit. Presume I belong to their family or else. As he gave a few seconds to let it sink in, the kid was visibly frightened as there was something about his eyes that struck fear, yet instead what was expected, the blonde suddenly bopped him atop the head with his fist, gaining an ow. As he was dropped on his ass while the blonde simply taps his sunglasses to push them down with a smile appearing on his face again. Ahahaha, his laugh was cheerful and filled with a lively feeling. It seems you fell for my little prank of a serious guy that was on the verge of killing you. Well, that's what you get, so watch what you say next time. The Lopobia family has done nothing but causes me trouble, so please refrain from presuming I belong to their family. As he let the warning hit him, the guy couldn't tell if that was acting or not, unlike Yua, who just stares at him as she still felt unnerved by what he did as well as his problem with the Lopobia. She just watches him as he extends a hand to the younger one. I'm Naruto, by the way, what's yours? Prince. As he stuttered, he takes the hand, not wanting to get on the guy's bad side or do something he didn't like, the result being he was lifted back on his feet. Prince, the odd name, isn't it? Aren't you named after food? Quote. Naruto's eyes went wide, yet they saw a very visible eye twitch. This only caused the two to look at each other and back at the blonde, who was trying hard to regain his composure. Food. He swallows. Well, that's a first to hear, and I thought it meant something else. It's basically a topping for ramen, Yua added in, furthering the eye twitch. Damn it, head on, thought the blonde, who looked like he was about to start shouting while being though is very awed by the two staring at him before they see him sigh out loud. His gaze looking back at the two before speaking once more to them. Anyways, how about we just wait it out with the others to enter this room? This way we won't need to fight against each other. That work for you guys? Upon hearing that, Prince just smiles, which intrigued the blonde, who watched him speak. Don't worry, preparations were already made, so. He stops as a loud beep was heard, followed by the door opening as they watched a man enter. His clothing was black and gold themed in coloring, just like his hair, while his eye sockets seemed to be blacked out like a skeleton, but the eyes themselves were seen. He simply moves to stand next to Prince while his gaze was solely focused on Naruto, who just stares up at him. Bodyguards, huh? His questionable gaze moves to Prince. Does this mean there are more? The teen couldn't help but smile proudly. Of course. This one here's actually the strongest, the devil's right arm. As Prince said his title with pride, Naruto didn't seem all that too interested before looking back at Yua, who seemed to be staring back at him before he returns it with a smile, gaining an immediate reaction of her looking away upon realizing she was starting too long, yet this only caused Prince to glare at the blonde with jealously before recalling what he did and remains silent, yet the glare continues, which Yua herself to notice. Well, that was an interesting wait, muttered the blonde, who witnessed the prince's guards getting rid of other contestants besides him and Yua. What was more was 3 of them were of the Daan tribe, large grey ones with many eyes, while another was a simple man, a moneylender that's worked for Prince's father, who was also placed on guard duty. While they were waiting in the elevator, Yua used Naruto as a shield to stand on his left to separate her from Prince, who was still very much unnerved by the blonde. In the moments that followed, the elevator door finally opens with a loud beep to show them the rest of the contestants. Yo! Shouted the whiskered one as he exits first, but as he did so his eyes slowly widened, and with it, a wide smile. His gaze directly on a single person sitting against the wall, possessing long black hair and what appears to be a 3-eyed symbol on his clothing. Found you, Bomb. The blonde's gaze was almost glued onto the long black-haired individual who was sitting in silence the entire time while he himself was sat on. He was right, who couldn't help but notice him looking at someone, trying to figure out who. While watching this was Prince, thinking of what to do in order to put the moves on Yue. With his gaze on the one he was told about, his animal ears themselves twitched as they focused on another conversation happening between two others away from them. What are you looking at? Are you jealous because of you're not in a love triangle with a pretty girl? What? Guys are all the same, huh? The pretty one, the one looking at the blonde who seems to be looking at one of us, it's so obvious. A man's instinct is to help a pretty girl even during a test. It's nothing like that. At this point, Naruto couldn't help but relax more with an easygoing smile as he looks away and at the elevator doors, finding this all to be very amusing and waiting for his chance to speak to the one he came to this floor for. His attention though changed upon hearing something that caught it. Look at her hairband. She's... Slowly Naruto's eyes began to widen. From the Yin family. Upon hearing that, Naruto looks back at the girl who had been stealing glances at the guy until now, her gaze meeting his before he suddenly leans forward, causing her eyes to widen in shock, and immediately flinches and closes her eyes, presuming he was suddenly going to kiss her. All of a sudden yet nothing came, only opening her eyes to see he was taking sniffs from her hair. Shriek. Smack. With those two sounds, everyone looked to see what was happening, and what they got was a madly blushing Yue having an outstretched red palm with a single blonde who seemed to be leaning to one side while his glasses lay on the floor. What the hell were you doing? Naruto's hand reaches out to pick up the glasses while even Bam watched this. You creep. In response to her words, he simply just picks up his glasses and stares at them with Yue's eyes widening to see that his eyes had changed again, as if the glasses were changing the appearance of his eyes, and instantly his gaze focused on the girl who froze. It was as if she had stepped in the den of a monster, and slowly that monster extended a hand, the look on her face shaking with fear. That was until... Flick. Ow. She was now flinching as she held her head due to it having a red mark on her forehead, while the blonde just puts his glasses back on, turning to the girl with his once more ocean blue eyes fixated on her. Yeah, no, you could have broken my glasses. His expression appeared to be that of pouting. These were really expressive. Yet even after hearing him say that, Yue had just looked up at Naruto, still affected by what she saw, and that was when he scratches the back of his head with an apologetic expression. Sorry, you see, these glasses help conceal my actual eyes. He stands up as he spoke. They tend to get that reaction. Also sorry about sniffing you. I was curious about something, so I'll just leave you alone. With his gaze appearing to be more gentle and apologetic, he gives a slight bow and turns his back to her, walking away from the girl who just stares at him, having less of an idea who he even is now, and simply watches as he sat away from her, at the other end next to the long-haired kid who didn't even send him a glance despite Naruto, who once again fixates his gaze upon him. Not yet, perhaps I should watch to see what he does. Shinsu Contest. Finding THR Best Shinsu User. That was the sigh above their heads as they stood below a stage where a single guy stood upon next to a large device. The person himself in charge of them was childlike and short, wearing heavy blue clothing. Hi, regulars. Giving a single once-over of them all. My name is Love. I'm in charge of this test, so congratulations to all of you for passing the first test. He proceeded to step more aside so they all can get a look at what appeared to be a pinball machine, yet instead of pinballs it had a long floating blue orb in the center. This is the second test. He presses a single button to show a 0 on the floating ball. The 20th floor's test is comprised of 3 parts, including the final exam. You just passed the first test. Your ability to reinforce your body will be tested, using this Shinsu measuring device. Body reinforcement? Questioned another blonde-haired guy who sat away from Naruto. It's looking more like an arcade punching machine. Well, it's similar to that. Once you've reinforced your body with Shinsu and hit the machine, Love simply hits the orb. Your score will pop up on the board. And your rank will be shown. 00001320000. 8 regulars will be selected after this test for the next exam. And now, Love's expression grew more serious along with his tone. Let's begin the test. Please come up in order shown on the board. Naruto simply smiles at hearing that, looking up at the board, yet blinks in confusion due to not seeing Bam's name on it, causing him to just glance at Bam with wonder. All the while most began moving around while one by one went on stage to compete. Ah, this is boring. Prince began aloud. I thought there'd be something special on the 20th floor. But this is just a game for kids. He simply flaunts at the fact he had bodyguards near him while he spoke, yet, even so, avoids making eye contact with Naruto, due to being still bothered by what he witnessed. It was during this, Yua made glances at the blonde to see he was relaxing. Could he have been disowned by the Lopobia family? It would explain the animal features since they're almost the only ones in the tower that have them, but her train of thought was ended upon Prince speaking to her. Why don't we play a game? What game? A game for whoever comes in first. I'll give my Ian as the grand prize. Now that got the attention of a lot of people, most notably one whose animal ears twitches. His single eye gazed at the rich boy. Yua stutters. What do you mean? The kid simply smirks while looking at her. Even the herd guard, a money broker, was surprised at hearing this while Yua despised hearing it. I may owe you some money. Her hands turn to tight fists. But you're going too far. Prince continues to smirk as he went on speaking calmly, finding this all to be rather amusing to him with his confidence getting too high. You don't want to. You can be freed if you come in first. You're not confident. Oh okay, I'm in. Yua just points her right hand's index finger at him. Don't you dare back down. Hee, even the great families can be swayed by money. As they went on from there, Naruto just leans back from where he sat next to the younger one who was stuck in his own little world. Can't you be quiet? The sudden voice that spoke up was new. Don't you get that you are making others uncomfortable? His words intrigue the whiskered one as he leans forward to spot a large one looking down at Prince, who proceeds to threaten the larger one. Brat, what? The larger one, wearing a snow coat to conceal his body, simply raises his right arm that enlarged. Sooner or later, you're going to fail, too. With that being said, he swings a single time, which in turn his score drastically increases. Many turns to watch as they see his score topping all those before him. 0000000006350. First, Hworyong. Second, Arkraptor. The ones whose name lit up. Hworyong simply turns to the brat as he continued where they left off, approaching him. Your mom never taught guy manners, huh? Brat. In response, the kid just chuckled to himself at finding this funny. Ahahaha, you're better than I expected. With a flick of his finger, the largest and stronger guard stands straight. This won't be as boring as I thought. Once he finished, the man simply approaches and walks past Hworyong, muttering things about a devil, and just stops in front of the device. With a crack of his shoulder, more followed as his entire right arm transforms to become a large right arm with black and aqua-colored markings on it. The ones to stare were a few. The only one showing disinterest was Naruto, as found nothing appeasing about it until he noticed Bam finally looking to see what was happening. This caused his to show annoyance. Are you serious? That weakling got your attention? I may not be as strong as I was, but even I can tell you could kick his ass. Upon finishing his train of thought, they finally watched him punch the device with his full power. 000000000111988. First, Rob Devil. Second, Hworyong. Third, Arkraptor. Upon reading his name, Naruto starts to sweat at seeing the guy even calls himself devil, yet could not argue due to the name he was using being Naruto, a food topping. With claps and words of praise, Rob joins Prince's side once more before smiling at Hworyong all smugly. I think you're the one who has to stop here. His lips curl even more. Teddy bear. With a definite silence that followed, the air grew thin as the feeling of a fight was about to break out until another light brightens. Oh, I'm next. Yua spoke up before realizing something and grins confidently as she starts walking towards it while brushing her hair. I'm sorry to say, I thought you'd do better with a body like that. Her confident words gained raised eyebrows from not only Prince but also Naruto, who watch her stop before the device and crack her hands before throwing a single punch. That punch hits the orb, yet her hand slips past it and with a stumble her face slams into the orb upon losing her foot, gaining a burst of chuckles from a couple including Prince. That was until her score popped up. And drastically increased to the light he stopped finding it funny. 000000000222384. First, Yua. Second, Rob Devil. Third, Hworyong. Fourth, Arkraptor. Wah, what? With a dumbfounded expression, the prince shouted, yet Yua just walks towards him confidently despite her forehead steaming a little. 20,000. She barely touched it. A random test taker shouted in shock while the girl herself bids the brat a farewell from her services, yet before she could leave the kid spoke. Wait, I'm next. It's not over yet, so I have to look. I can imagine the score of a boy who hired others to take him up the tower. HMPF. With that single exchange, one of his guards began messaging Prince's shoulder while a couple cheers him on. Yet while this was happening, Yua didn't once look but instead at the one standing before her, which was Naruto. What is it? She was stopped at him lazily pointing at something behind her, causing her to turn to see, and when she did, shouts of amazement from the guards were heard and disbelief from her. 0000000025521. First, Prince. Second, Yua. Third, Rob Devil. Fourth, Horyong. Fifth, Arkraptor. Upon seeing this, she just turns to see the guards celebrating as they messaged his shoulders and wrist, all the while he smiled confidently at her. They're taking me up the tower. No, I'm taking them. His smile increases while hers shows more disbelief. You should stay by my side. In response to hearing this, she looks desperately at Love, who was eating a chicken leg from a box of chicken. Please, give me one more chance. I can do better than that. There are no retires. With her hope crushed, Prince just extends his arms with a big smile on his face. Teehee, give up and just come back to me. You know you won't. He was silenced when they both heard the same sound given to someone getting the next highest score, causing both to turn quickly upon seeing who's the current holder, and that was when their eyes widen at who it was. 000000000099273. First, Naruto. Second, Prince. Third, Yua. Fourth, Rob Devil. Fifth, Horyong. Sixth, Arkraptor. At this point, Prince was in disbelief while Naruto stepped off the stage to walk towards them, and before Yua could speak, Prince did so first and quite angrily as well. How? The bet, huh? As he heard that, Naruto walks towards Yua and immediately put an arm around her, surprising her at the sudden action before blushing. Since I won, she's now mine, right? And Naruto, wah. She was cut off due to the blonde suddenly lifting her over his shoulder like a duffel bag. Let me down, you perv. But I thought, ahahaha. The sudden laughter gained their attention, originating from Ark, who sat at the wall while Naruto starts to let down Yua, who just stared at him but also quite embarrassed at what just happened to her. Hey, Baldy, what's so funny? Despite trying to act tough, his comment made no sense since he had a full head of hair, yet no one bothered to correct him. Everything. You are all losers and you don't even know it. What? A single finger points towards the last one approaching the stage, Bam, who walked towards it in silence. He's the strongest regular here. His words gained confusion from almost everyone in hearing distance, yet Naruto let a small laugh leave his lips, watching ever so closely as Bam places his right hand on the orb upon getting on stage, and a single eruption of Shinsu takes place, consuming the orb much to almost everyone's shock. Like the one in charge, a few were surprised. 0000000134769. First, Viol. Second, Naruto. Third, Prince. Fourth, Yua. Fifth, Rob Devil. Sixth, Horyong. Seventh, Arkraptor. 100. Prince started to mutter before it grew louder. 100,000. Upon hearing that, Yua turned to look back at Naruto, yet what she saw was someone who held an expression as if he had won the lottery. Naruto was grinning like crazy as he had his eyes set on Bam, who went by Viol. So you weren't joking head on, this kid does have quite the potential. At this stage, only that damn Jihad managed to reach that level by the 20th floor. As he thought that, Bam made his way past Naruto and Yua, which the latter noticed the design of his clothing just like the one in charge. Floral butterfly piercing technique. Thug, the test isn't over now. Love stood on stage with everyone else below him. All regulars, please step forward. Listening to his order, they all did as said and approached the stage, where they looked up at Love, yet among that group, there were some who did not do so, that being another particular blonde who didn't have a high score, but instead ranking much lower than everyone else, a 16. Naruto paid him no attention at all, his main attention on Bam, or also known as Viol, who walked onto the stage. Okay, now, Viol, what you should do. Love turns his attention from him to everyone else, is choose 8 teammates to take the test with. This got a surprised reaction from everyone except for Naruto, who already knew he would just climb the tower the old-fashioned way. What the hell? The outburst originating from Prince. Then what was the test all about? He instantly got a response from the annoyed-looking administrator. It was to choose the strongest of you. What? You said. Stifu, I'm the one in charge. This got a snort from Naruto, who found Prince grumbling to be hilarious, more so when Prince noticed this and turned red in embarrassment while Yua just sighs from Naruto's left. Now then, Mr. Viol. Choose 8 regulars. When he got silence, Love looks over at him. Mr. Viol. He finally spoke up, only for everything to immediately change from a shout. Let me introduce myself to you. The sudden shout took Naruto by surprise, turning with a dumbfounded expression. Number 1023, regular Ya Wangnyan. Naruto instantly took in his appearance, focusing on him and only on him. He had yellow eyes, blonde hair with a mole under his right eye. He wore a jumpsuit-like clothing, with a slightly more intricate coat. He has red protrusions behind his ears, and 2 fangs in his mouth. I've got more than just power. His first sentence got a raised eyebrow from Naruto, who took a quick glance at the scoreboard still up. The era of the 10 great families will end with me. You won't regret it. I'm Wangnyan. With that said, he began to dance all of a sudden, causing many to start to sweat drop. I can dance. I can sing. He begins to sing, though it wasn't half bad. I'm the real entertainer of this era. The more you get to know me, the cuter you'll find me. Naruto starts the chuckle as he found it hilarious that he's making it sound like he's just to get himself bought as a pet or a prostitute. That chuckle instantly dies the moment he saw it, and it didn't go unnoticed by Yua, who saw his eyes widen all way in shock as well as disbelief. Where, as he thought, his eyes were dead set on the ring he wore, a particular red ring, in fact with a noticeable design. Where did he get that ring? As he thought, Naruto immediately starts to take in the scent of everyone, most notably Wangnyan, but froze as his eyes widen even more. What the? That kid, does he even realize who he even is? No, this kid. Naruto's gaze instantly narrowed, staring at the blonde bowing and begging in front of Viol now on stage. His existence itself can be seen as a much bigger threat than Bam. He may also be valuable as well. Though I'll wait and see, I might just have to kill him in case he reminds me too much of him. As he finally finished his train of thought, Yua just stares at him in wonder on what was going through his head, all the while Ark stepped forward to bow about wanting to go up to find his daughter. Horion bowed about wanting to go up to find someone, and then a girl who didn't even bow but straight up hugged Bam, crying about wanting to go up. It was by then that Yua suddenly grabbed Naruto by his jacket, surprising him, but just followed. Stop it, Yua began as she dragged Naruto on stage with herself. All of you. That got their attention as they watched her let go of Naruto before brushing her hair with a smile. Mr. Viol, I suggest you take me as your teammate along with Naruto, who got the second highest score. She shocks a few at hearing that while she stepped forward. Everybody has their own sad stories. But I think we should choose based on strengths. Instantly, Wangnyan shouts in disagreement while glaring daggers at her. Why are you acting as if you're already his teammate? His words simply annoyed Yua, who just stares at him for the stupid question. Isn't it obvious? I'm from the Yian family and I am a fisherman, not to mention Naruto is the second highest. Who else is he going to choose? Despite it being true, Wangnyan just points at her while he shouts. Don't overestimate yourself. You kill your own teammates. Now that got a reaction from Yua, becoming shocked while Naruto raised an eyebrow at her, still keeping an eye on the guy while taking in his personality. What? HMPF, you don't remember me. I failed the last test because of you. You? Oh, you burned so many people so you wouldn't remember me. With that short conversation, Wangnyan just points at her with his other hand and turns to Bam. Lord Viol, you shouldn't choose her. She barbecues everyone, even her own teammates. I'm also pretty sure selling her body to Naruto for his help. Now, this got a reaction, one being Yua appearing to be furious as she blushed while the other Naruto turning away and trying his damn hardest not to laugh, finding the guy to be rather a riot. So, other than killing your teammates, what's your power? Tell me. Arg, ahahaha, you've got no words to say. It must mean Naruto has been doing all the work. You, now please leave, before you kill the rest of us. Get out. Breasts. At this point, Naruto's ears perked up and just raises an eyebrow while staring at her until he was taken aback by her meltdown with everyone staring. I have large breasts. You smelly male monkey. Quote. No one said a single thing, just stared at her dumbfounded, unlike Naruto, who moves to get a look at her chest while raising an eyebrow, seeing they were indeed quite large despite looking fairly young. In response, Wangnyan immediately starts fumbling with his belt. Okay, and with that they all stood in a line together on the stage before Viol and Love while the rest off the stage. I won't choose any teammates. Upon hearing this, they were all surprised, including Naruto, who didn't expect that answer. Myself alone will be enough, administrator. Let them all go home, please. Upon hearing his words, Naruto just tilts his head in wonder about what was going on in his head, and even Love spoke up in disagreement. The exam is for teams only. You must choose 8 others. It was what Bam said next that annoyed Naruto. There is nobody here who can be my teammate. Yua begins to grit her teeth in anger. I don't want to choose unqualified teammates. Bullshit. Her outburst got everyone's attention as they watched her step forward. What do you mean? Nobody can be your teammate? I can understand all people, but including Naruto, who was the closest to you, makes no sense at all. Oh yeah, the big gangster with the symbol of the fug. How can you eliminate people who might pass with you? How can you be proud of that fake symbol? You should be embarrassed. With all that finally let out, Bam spoke up. It's not fake. Confusion formed on Yua's face. I'm Ju Viol Grace, a nominee for Fug Slayer. I live to kill Jihad and his family. You're joking, right? Everyone turned their attention to Naruto, who was stepped forward, approached Bam on equal height, yet as he did so it became very clear something was different about him after he stopped before Bam. You say that, but I felt no conviction from those words. As of right now your conviction disappointed me, Bam. In an instant, his eyes widen at hearing someone utter his name and watched as he removes his glasses, revealing the beast-like eyes that took Bam by surprise as he felt the pressure the moment he made eye contact with him, while Love was wide-eyed at what was happening. Gotta say, Head-On was right about you, but he seems to have left out the part of you wanting nothing to do with the 10 great families and Jihad. So far it seems you couldn't even care less. Pretty disappointing if you ask me, and I wasted so much time finding you. As he finished he starts scratching the back of his head, trying to think of what to do. How? Bam stops the moment Naruto spoke up. I wonder if I should have found Rachel first before finding you, since out of you two I'm more interested in her. Though, Naruto starts to smile at finding something funny, unlike everyone else who didn't know what they were talking about. Could it be that your lack of wanting to go up the tower, to begin with, and stay in the darkness where Rachel hated is one of the reasons that led to Rachel abandoning you and betraying you? It was with this comment, Bam's eyes just narrow, yet before anything could be done, Love got between them just as Naruto puts his glasses back on. Enough you two. Love looks at both with great annoyance. I don't know what personal problems you two share, but it will not have any part of the test, so can it until your own free time. Upon hearing that, Bam looks away in anger at wanting to speak to Naruto, while the blonde just smiles as he scratches the back of his head sheepishly, whole apologizing. Now Mr. Viol, you and I will play a game to decide. With that said, Bam stares at him questionably. If you win, Viol, I'll let you take the test by yourself. Love said you the Slayer candidate, not taking any shit at all, which Bam merely glances at Naruto. I wonder if I should have found Rachel first before finding you, since out of you two I'm more interested in her. With narrowed eyes, Bam just agrees to the game while Naruto finished cleaning his glasses just as a door opens in the wall. Alright, then, take a break while I prepare the game. Love looks over to them all, seeing a few unsure. You guys will have most likely quite a while. Rooms are already assigned, so anyone who wishes to participate in the game, go to the dorms through that gate. Room 601, Ya Wangyan, thought a specific blonde who sat on the side of his bed and thought, having been a few hours and currently staring at the ring he had secretly swiped from the fellow blonde. To think he would actually have the real deal. Now that I think about it, the only other time I saw this ring was when Ha Jinsung brought that Karaka brat to see me. Naruto just leans back to lay on the bed to stare at the ceiling in thought before turning his head in an angel to get a look at the bathroom door opening to reveal Yua exiting from it, having removed her blue dress, all the while still annoyed. It can't be true, it must be a lie. Her complaining continued while sitting on her bed. There's no way that regular is a fug. No one would be that stupid to have it printed on their clothing. Though I'm glad he finally stopped knocking on the door and left, she stops as her eyes widen as she thought of something in what he's said so far. Don't you ever, and I mean ever, presume I belong to their family, or else. The Lopobia family has done nothing but causes me trouble, so please refrain from presuming I belong to their family. Gotta say, Head-On was right about you, but he seems to have left out the part of you wanting nothing to do with the 10 great families and Jihad. As she thought these things, more questions popped into her head before slowly glancing at Naruto, only to realize he wasn't there until she jolts due to having him sit down next to her, catching her off guard. Something wrong? His blue eyes fixate on her while displaying a cheerful smile. You suddenly got awfully quiet. Yet despite his words, Naruto's gaze narrowed a little to see that look in her eye before he sighs and plops back with his arms behind his head. Spill it, big boobs, what's the problem? Naruto's sudden question caught her off guard until she absorbed what he said and blushes instantly. What did you? She was cut off by a single finger meeting her lips with Naruto just staring at her unimpressed. You yourself stated you have large breasts, or were you lying? His words followed by his expression caused her to turn an even darker shade of red before turning away. If you're planning to ask for something because you helped me, don't even think about it. While saying it with seriousness, the blonde smiles as he sat upon the odd choice of words from you. He turns his head completely towards her. What do you think I'm gonna ask for exactly? Sweat could be seen coming down her face while she looks away uncomfortably. Well, like, my body. The moment she uttered that, instantly she found the blonde had turned away to snort with laughter. This instantly made her feel embarrassed before rage as her hands turned to fists, whole exerting a red aura. I'll kill him. During the next test, I'll make him suffer. That's pretty funny. His words caused her anger to rise. After all, I don't think you would be able to last long. Instantly that anger disappeared as her eyes widened before he immediately turned fast, hands grabbing her. In a mere second, she found herself pinned to the bed, both arms held above her head by the blonde and his free hand cupping her chin. However, I wouldn't mind taking your virginity if you're up for it. The only response he got was a red face before clear anger, yet instantly disappears when he suddenly leans down, causing her to flinch with her eyes closed, which he then smiles and lets her go so he could sit on her left while she sat up, about to shout and call him all the same until he spoke again. Due to a curse cast upon me, my body is infertile, and for that, I cannot bear any children unless it comes to a specific circumstance. As he finished saying that, she only stares at him more questionably at why he was cursed until thinking of the king and the 10 great families, yet even so that brought more on why they would even bother doing such a thing to him unless he was a threat in some way. A threat. Was it? The Lopobia family? No. That was another thing altogether. It was before them. Upon hearing that, she stared at him even more questionably while having yet understood what he actually meant just as he spoke. So, his gaze once more fixated on her. Tell me about yourself. His tone was once again relaxed. After a few seconds, Yua still felt uneasy around him, yet she spoke up. I came into the tower when I was 14. It's embarrassing to say, but I'm one of the super elites. Her hands turned into fists when he looked away to snort, instantly hitting him upside the head in anger before continuing. I got the best score for the floor of the tests. And it took me less than 5 years to make it up here, without any help from my family. As you can see, I'm not a bad companion. This caused Naruto to raise an eyebrow. Why are you telling me this? It's simple, seeing as you're one of the best who seems to know more than you're letting on, I choose you as my partner to go up the tower. Surprise popped on his face while staring at her as she looked at the ceiling with a smile. I'm sure you won't regret teaming up with me rather than that fug. After saying that, she looks back to see he wasn't smiling but staring at her, causing her to blink in surprise as she watches him sigh. The only reason I'm here is for the Viol brat. His words caused her eyes to widen. Though you can come along if you want, it's not my choice to prevent you from doing so. His words caused her to show shock before another question popped into her head. Who's this Rachel you're interested in? This question got surprised by Naruto, yet before he could reply, something popped into his head and smiled. Jealous. Shut up. With a chuckle, Naruto just looks away as he avoids her gaze. We just met, why would I tell a complete stranger everything? She appeared to look embarrassed. Besides, if you're gonna follow us then it'll more so be how long you survive. That caught her off guard, eyes widening as she met his own when he pulled down the glasses just enough, causing her to freeze as he continued speaking. Whatever happens from here will be far more dangerous than simply climbing up the tower. So, he was cut off by the sudden opening of their door, causing them to both turns to find Prince in just swim trunks, coming from the pool. I found you too. With a shout, he points accusingly at Naruto. You thought you could get some alone time with my girl you. He stooped upon Naruto after pushing up his glasses, abruptly wrap an arm around Yua, holding her close to him. Instantly Prince was horrified by his words and devilish smile, unlike Yua who instantly expressed her emotions with a single punch, one that caused the blonde's eye to twitch as he fell forward, grabbing his bruised pair of the ball while standing above him was the first wielding hot-headed girl who turns her gaze towards Prince, who was just shocked and spoke with annoyance. It was with this moment that she shuts the door in front of him, gaining shouts of anger much to the girl's annoyance as she leans back against it, yet her eyes widen to find Naruto sitting on the bed as nothing happened. It was at this point her cheeks turned red due to two reasons. One being this was the first time she was alone with someone of the opposite gender, and other being the first time she had come into physical with a man's genitals, despite punching him for what he did. But if they find out you're. You can't let them find out. As the muttering was heard, slowly Yua's eyes opened to be met with the sight of Naruto, whose back was turned towards her. I don't. Yua's eyes instantly widen upon hearing his muttering. Please, I just. Yet before it could continue, as it came suddenly, it instantly came to an end. Beep, beep. The sudden sound caused her to jolt, unlike Naruto, whose eyes shot open as he immediately got out of bed. As he turned and picked up the remote that was causing the sound, with a click it stopped just as Yua got out of bed to join his side, where the device had the word, "Call," on the front of it. Beep. Starting now. The exam will begin. This caused their eyes to widen with surprise as Love continued. The name of the exam is Lock, 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 the room that can be trusted. From now on, don't trust anybody. You're all teammates. And enemies at the same time. All you can trust is your own room. Oh, and, Thug, come down here, let's fight. This just causes a split-face grin to form on his face, one that unsettles Yua, who just stares at him, many questions popping in her head of just who exactly Naruto was and how much of a threat was he. Yua for closer to Naruto so she could hear Love speak through the device. Starting now. Let me briefly explain the rules of the exam. Your challenge is to secure 7 teammates and 6 rooms. Before Mr. Viol takes over Ms. Yian's room. Starting now, you may begin making teams. And you may either protect or steal rooms. With the remote given. You can open and close the door of your room, and with the personal connector at the bottom. You can make teammates or steal rooms. It's simple to make teammates. Connect your USB to another regular's remote. And press the blue button to be teammates. If you press the red button, you will steal the other regular's room. So if you don't trust someone, you shouldn't open your door or give them your remote. The first team to gather 7 teammates and 6 rooms using their remote passes. But be careful. You can only use your own remote. And there must be at least one connector in the remote at all times. You can remove the remote from your room. There must be at least one deviant in each room, and one of the 6 rooms must be on. The same floor as Ms. Yian's room. If the number of regulators falls below 7, Mr. Viol wins, and if Mr. Viol comes here and steals this connector from me and gets to Ms. Yian's room, he wins. So now begin. Hearing all that, Yua simply smiles at understanding while she spoke. A test is simple. She stops to see Naruto staring at the remote and in thought. Wait, disbelief appears on her face. Did you not get any of that? What she got as a response was the remote being tossed to her, which she catches while Naruto heads for the door. Doesn't matter, I've got other plans. He was cut off by the Yian member suddenly getting in front of him in a hurry to block his way while gripping the remote. I can't let you go. Naruto. This got a raised eyebrow. You're not even going to try, you just want to watch Bam or perhaps fight him yourself. This causes Naruto to smile in amusement, much to her annoyance. I don't get you. You said if I wanted to come along I could. She proceeded to point accusingly at him. Yet how do you even plan on advancing if you don't pass? Her words still only got a smile of amusement, now angering her while gripping the remote. You are such a bad guy. It was when he heard that line, the smile faltered and reduced to a sad one, as if recalling something, just as flames erupted from her body, surrounding her for protection while she remained calm. With my powers, I'll stop you. Her right arm began to raise in his direction. I'm warning you, give up now, my flame can't be controlled. Even my family rancors had a hard time stopping it. As her words were spoken with the increasing of the fire, Naruto simply walks into the flames, and it resulted in the flames that touched him to become corroded as they turned pitch black before fading away. This caused her to freeze and stare as Naruto approached her, only to stop in front of her while his cold gaze was directed at her, yet she still stood her ground until he removed his glasses while also leaning closer. What resulted was his slitted eyes causing fear to grip her heart as he appeared to be towering over her, looking down at the girl before speaking. You seem arrogant, as if you believe you could beat me while I'm nowhere near the actual level one was once at. As he spoke, he began stepping forward while she took steps back as his overpowering gaze. But it's obvious, you cower before my gaze when it comes to me being the predator and you the prey. As he finished saying that, Yua relaxes. She found herself against the wall and looks back up fearfully, still unable to make anything of Naruto, be it friend or foe, yet this single moment all but confirmed he was not someone to try to be enemies with, while he himself stretched his arm out to touch the door while looking at the girl closer this time. You know, as a member of the Yian family, you also carry the sin of your ancestor for what happened in that war so long ago. As he continued, he bent his arm so that to close the distance between the two, now even closer, while her cheeks began to turn red despite this overwhelming fear. She was beginning to feel somewhat aroused at what she felt. I could kill you with due to you being a nuisance. His left hand stretches out to cup her chin and force her to keep eye contact instead of looking away. Or I could make you mine, would actually be a middle finger to the Yians if they were to find out one of their clan members were claimed by me. Slowly he showed a toothy smile to her, letting the order sink in and making her blush even more, forgetting entirely of what her family taught her about men. What's your answer? Die, or become mine and only mine? As that question stayed in the air, he could hear her heartbeat growing faster while still being pressed against the wall very close to him. She began to fidget as she started to feel something new she hadn't felt before in such a situation she was in. She stopped in the realization that he was no longer in front of him before hearing something hit the floor, turning slowly to find the remote behind her and a wide smiling Naruto outside the door that was now open, pushing his glasses up while he spoke. Gotta say, just from your smell, I could tell you were starting to get turned on. Pretty kinky. He flashed her a grin while turning away. Thanks for the remote. Plus when this is all over I might as well help you get rid of your V card, later. With that spoken, he turns to find one Prince charging for him. Where are you going, asshole? Prince pulled back his needle while entering a stance. Beat me, Fi. He was silenced by Naruto instantly ducking to dodge a large blast of flames that sent Prince flying and steaming. This only caused Naruto to turn slowly to find a very pissed off Yua standing at the doorway, cracking her knuckles while tick marks were on her forehead. I'm gonna kill you, you perverted fox. Instead of taking off his glasses or stopping her, Naruto instantly felt fear due to her rageful expression, causing him to recall the wrath of a woman he knew long ago, being quite close to her, and it was by then that he realized he was already running like his life depended on it. Why am I? He shuts up to duck under flames and turns to find Yua chasing after him in anger, her aura getting even hotter and more destructive, which Naruto starts to sweat. Ah shit, her anger made me instinctively run. He turns away while speeding up to get away from her, yet she was still keeping up with him while unleashing fire-based attacks. Why is it always a woman's anger that causes me to run in fear? I'm stronger yet. He stops to duck under and an even bigger blast of flames, and turning to see she looks even more pissed. Is she getting even angrier? As he thought that he heard her yell. Love sat in silence, within the men's bathroom with his arms inventory glaring behind him with a pair of large gloves floating next to him while staring at an equally silent Bam. You chose to fight me rather than the other regulars. Love's eyes narrowed in annoyance. Were you sure you could win this fight, or did you just want to avoid hurting the other regulars? I'll tell you for the last time. Except teammates. Yet not one word was uttered, annoying Love once more. I noticed that the newest Slayer Karaka got special missions from Fug while taking his tests. Like killing a specific regular during the test, belong a specific regular pass a test, passing the test and ensuring everyone else failed. There was even one where Karaka had to deliver an actual bucket of chicken to some top dog in Fug, yet oddly enough that last part was actually true. Anyways, all the missions were set to mock the rules of the test. Love begins to stand up as he prepares himself. If you can't respect the rules, then I can't respect you either, Mr. Viol. It was with that the two heard an explosion, turning to find Yua on top of Naruto and attempting to strangle the blonde before they both froze, her looking up now in embarrassment while Naruto did the same. Sorry, Naruto began as he starts smiling at getting an idea. We wanted to do foreplay in the bathroom. It was by uttering that, Love flinched when he saw Yua stand abruptly up to kick Naruto in his weak point, causing him to end up grasp the now once more bruised area while a pissed Yua stood up in anger, arms crossed while Love and Bam stare at her, sweat dropping until Love sighs and takes out a device which he proceeds to place it in his pitching machine. I'll give you 3 chances. Love began while noticing from the corner of his eye was Naruto recovering as he stood up, being glared at by Yua, who looks away with her arms crossed. If you catch the connector thrown from this pitching machine, score it gets to the glove on the other side. I'll gives this connector to you. It was after hearing this the hothead realized her mistake and was about to leave when she saw Naruto's expression, a smile with his eyes focused on what's about to happen. If not, you're out and fail the test. But if you give this up, you can take the test with the teammates who pass this exam. His words still did not get a response by words, but what it did get was Bam's glancing at Naruto, who just smiles. Just FYI, I can interfere with you to keep you from catching the connector, and I might, accidentally, kill you during this test. Do you still want to take it? With all that said, a simple yes was given, which causes Love to sigh as he moves across the room while the machine was on the other end and Bam in the middle. Why are we watching this? Yua questions the blonde whose arms were crossed while he just smiles. What's the exact point? To gauge his level, was the only response he gave the girl, who looked surprised just as Love shouts. Then, first ball, fire. With that single shout, it fires the connector at top speed, yet something happens that caught Yua and Love off guard, unlike Naruto. The device had stopped in midair, with Bam already heading for it before Love reacts by closing the distance instantly, where he kicks the device and sends it across the room and into the wall, much to Yua's shock. While it was called as a foul, and before they knew it, it got reset once again, but this time Love gets ready to move, now in a stance. Second pitch, ready. Naruto starts to smile with his teeth being shown. Fire. With that, Bam tries the same strategy, yet Love had already closed the distance much sooner this time, surprising Bam. Love stops upon seeing Bam pull a fist back, much to his and Yua's shock at him planning to punch the one in charge of all things, a ranker, yet Naruto just whistles in excitement as Love dodges the strike before he does the same, yet was cut off guard when he was stopped for a split second, giving Bam time to move while trapping him in some shinsu. Yet once again Love outmaneuvers Bam, getting to him fast, once more surprising Bam, who was caught off guard as he was rammed into, yet the Slayer candidate tries to push him off. In a matter of seconds, Naruto has watched as Bam laying in the bathwater after being slamming into it, much to Yua's shock as they watched Love step into the now empty large bathtub. Before I came into the tower, my parents were killed by Fug. Right in front of me. Yua's eyes widen in shock, yet more so at the fact Naruto showed disinterest in his backstory. I came into the tower to get revenge on the Fug, and maybe I wanted to kill you to avenge my parents. I don't deserve to be in charge of the test. What made you join Fug? Now that caught Naruto's attention as his eyes narrowed. There's someone I have to meet up there. When he heard that, Naruto could instantly tell who. For revenge, I won't know until I see her. This is the last shot. Love spoke as they stood in place once again. If you don't catch it this time, you fail. No regrets. With a nod for a response, it began as the two moved simultaneously, with Bam stopping it and Love on the offense, yet what caught Naruto off guard was the fact Bam had successfully copied one of Love's techniques, then once more in their close combat fight. In a matter of moments, Bam was held in place, leaving Love to collect the device just as he was unfrozen. I think you forgot that I can also freeze you, Fug. Game over. As he said it, he simply holds the device while they all stared at him. I don't want to fail you like this. It would be a waste of your talents. Give up, Fug, and accept your teammates. Then I'll let you pass. Use your powers. For good. With that said, they all stared at him before Naruto glanced at Bam. Wide. That shout caught all three of them by surprise as they turned towards the open door to see Wangyan having thrown a. Is that a Pokeball? The ones who have seen Pokemon thought as it heads straight for Love before exploding, unleashing a lot of smoke and chili powder from inside it, yet at this moment, Naruto's eyes widen in surprise upon witnessing him swipe the connector at that moment. What are you doing? Love turns in anger at being interrupted. Regular Ya Wangyan. Don't move. His shout carried a clear order, much to Naruto's surprise at hearing this side of him, having not taken him seriously even once. The connector is in my hand. He looks at both Naruto and Viol. Naruto. As he spoke their names, the fellow blonde's eyes narrow as he wondered if he was gonna try and gamble his way into the next floor instead of fighting. Please, help me. Instantly Naruto's eyes had widened in surprise, expecting something different, yet it could be thought of him as begging for help to the next floor, yet it didn't sound like that. Up there's a bad guy and someone told me that. It's not the good guys who beat the bad guys. But the worst guys. Viol, you're the evilest guy in this tower, and Naruto, despite how you acted, you seem to have been protecting Yua in a way. The girl shows a light blush, though also glare at Naruto. So please, come with me, to teach that asshole a lesson. Naruto, if you help then I'll do anything you ask, even be your servant for the rest of my life. Viol, if you help then I'll give you. The connector. This caught Naruto by surprise, just like Bam before Love approaches him. What are you talking about, regular Wangyan ya? If you give that connector to Mr. Viol, the other regulars won't pass the test. Besides, why would Naruto want you as a basic servant instead of going to the next floor? Despite hearing him clearly, Wang Yan didn't agree. It's better for all of us to fail than for that bastard to pass the test. Besides, with Naruto's skill he can pass the test and can use me however he wants. When Naruto heard that, a wicked smile began forming on his lips that set off Yue at what he was thinking as he watched Love attack the guy to the ground in anger, holding on to the device. Love holds him to the ground, wanting it back. Give it back. No, you little. No, that bastard killed Nia. People die during exams. You've lost your mind. Get it together, Wang Yan ya. It was with this back and forth that he had finally begun to calm down, enough to speak normally while they all watched him. You know, when I first came to this floor, I had many friends. Naruto just stares at Wang Yan all the while. Next to him he could see an image of another man closely resembling him, but as he spoke, that image began to vanish. We had delicious sweet and sour pork together. But then, one by one my friends gave up the test. Eventually, I was the only one left and I had to eat by myself. When I saw that empty bowl, it felt like people were telling me to give up. It felt like they were saying that I was all alone and hopeless. And I hated that. At last, I found someone to enjoy delivery food with. Now, I had someone to eat with. But tears began to burst from his eyes. He's dead. Does this tower make our dreams come true? Or force us to give them up? At least, shouldn't we punish the bad guys who use others' dreams to fulfill their own? I can't forgive those bastards. I can't. If the tower allows them up. And if it's because of those bastards that I'm blocked from going up. I'll destroy them all. I'll be the king of this tower. And destroy them all. Even if I have to. In an instant, as Wang Yan was about to throw the connector, instead he was stopped by Naruto having closed the distance and appeared in front of him, much to Love's shock at his speed being on par with Viole's, while Wang Yan looks up to meet Naruto's gaze to see him smiling, not wicked at all but gentle. I can tell, you would be a better king than Jihad. He opens his hand to reveal his missing ring, shocking Wang Yan. Prince of the Red Light District. With those words, he flips the ring out of his hand to land in front of the guy before turning around to have them all stare at him back. You just made a deal with the devil, basically selling your soul for what you offered. I accept, and in return. As he spoke, he took off his glasses to show his red eyes that flowed in a wicked smile, looking back at the so-called prince, who froze upon seeing that eye. Just like Love. I'll slaughter all those that led your friend to his death. With that said, he turns around while his legs start to release a black and crimson aura. Incomplete Stage 1 Partial Transformation, the imperfect clawed feet. What they were introduced to was Naruto's shoes being destroyed to show his feet appearing to have a crimson aura around it, while his toes changed to have crimson aura covering them, taking the form of claws. They were taking in the change just as Naruto crouches before launching himself in a leap, his speed being even greater, and the doors exploded, much to Love's shock at what he just did. All the while Naruto had begun the hunt as he was on all fours and going down the hall towards the stairs to the higher floors where his prey was. Prince's shout abruptly ends upon his back slamming into the door. Before he was Rap Devil, his bodyguard who betrayed him to join Lurker's side along with others. The young one wipes the blood off his face, glaring at his once bodyguard. Damn you, you bastard, just get it over with. Quit playing around. Prince began to stand up slowly while still showing a wobbly stance. You're dead. How dare you draw this out? You'll regret. Prince was cut off by an ominous knock on the door, halting everything in the room except time itself. Are you alone, sir? That simple question gained shock and an immediate response from the kid. Lurker, you traitor. Oh, what a relief. You're alive. Did you come here to see me die? Bingo. That back and forth caused the youngest one to grit his teeth in intense anger. Why are you doing this to me? Hearing such a response, he got a calm and simple answer. Why, no special reason, sir. Dumb but loyal servants and the best soldier chose by your daddy. You're not the only one who deserves all this. That's all. Now they're all mine, sir. Prince glared at the door in hatred. That's it. Finish him, Rap Devil. With that order and more threats from Prince, the larger man approaches the purple-haired kid while drawing his right fist back. MN. Prince muttered as Rap Devil started to swing but froze just as the two heard it, a scream on the outside that had caught them both off guard as they were just silent and staring at the door in confusion. Lurker was visibly shaking, not only him but the two other Dayan tribe guards that were also hired to guard Prince before the betrayal, both also being left terrified as they just stood there, watching Naruto, who stood atop one of the 3 Dain tribe guests, the coolest one that wore a mask, was now leaking a pool of blood from its skull due to a part of said skull no longer there. Despite me being so weak and only able to do physical boosts with my transformations, Naruto's teeth showed while looking back at the three. You guys are still weaker than me. Lurker wasted no time and turned towards the door while the other 2 guards were scared upon seeing his eye, finding themselves in front of a menacing large beast. Rapdevil, hurry and steal the remote now. As he shouted that, Naruto moved quickly with the ground exploding as he swung full force in a spin move against the 2 guards, hitting their heads and causing a whiplash-like effect that sent them to the ground, much to the shock of Lurker, who stumbled back and fell on his ass while Naruto was staring at him. I'm not gonna kill you, his smile grew. I'll let the other blonde do it. As he said it, inside the room another situation was happening. You bastard, Rapdevil shouts as he grabbed a hold of Prince just as he presses the button, causing it to creak open, enough for clawed nails to peek through before being abruptly opened to reveal Naruto with a more so animalistic smile. Arg, Rapdevil froze, not at seeing Naruto's eyes but the fact there was a pool of blood behind him as well as an arm before the door shuts as Naruto enters. Seeing this, Rapdevil was visibly shaking yet tried to muster up the courage and act tough. Do you think you can beat me in a fight? Naruto's smile increases to threaten to split his face as his teeth were shown, causing the man to immediately transform his right arm into a monstrous blue limb with black patterns covering it. With a shout he swung full force. I'll teach you what happens when. He was cut off by Naruto lifting his leg and caught the attack in his foot, more so near his claws that shocked him. You're afraid, because of it, your death has all been destined. With those words, he moved again full speed at the shocked man. Quote. Prince said nothing but stared with his wide eyes at what he was witnessing while Rapdevil on the other hand, felt like time had suddenly passed due to 1 second he was standing up and the next he was on the ground. Huh, wah. As these final thoughts passed through his head, Rapdevil just lays in the same spot, staring up at the real devil that looked down at him with contempt. What he could not see was the fact Naruto was staring at the man whose jaw was torn out, leaving a pool of blood that he lay in, while behind him was Prince, who was just mesmerized by the whole altercation, having ended it in a few attacks. Despite Rapdevil being somewhat resilient to a few of his kicks, it ended upon a single kick to his jaw where the claws dug into it and tore it right out. Where's the remote? As Naruto asked that, he was wagging his leg to get the blood off his toes while his feet returned to normal just as he puts his glasses back on to look at the youngster who without another beat was already running to him with the remote. Here it is, Mr. Naruto. A raised eyebrow was earned while Naruto took it, seeing the prince still had a mesmerized look on his face. Oh god, don't tell me he turned into a fanboy just after witnessing me be a total badass. Without another word, he presses the button to open the door behind them, which revealed Horyong, who was wide-eyed, which Naruto just smiles. Was just taking out the trash. Naruto's gaze fixates on the man. Nothing to be worried about, I'm not gonna attack you. Despite hearing that, he wasn't sure if those 2 guards were unconscious or dead from their necks having been snapped, unlike the first one whose blood covered most of the ears around the door he was in front of, but his main attention goes to Yua, who stood next to him, clearly seeing the brutal corpse of the man inside the room and was visibly shaken, which Naruto notices and walks out with his hands in his pockets while Prince stared at him in amazement. Let's go see what's happening with the others. By the time he got to the room, he was greeted by the sight of Wangyan slamming his right foot into the man's left arm, gaining a loud crack, and a shout of pain from the man. This is not my revenge. This is revenge for Nia and the innocent people you hurt, he said while his right hand hovers over the other balls. Atone for your sins with death. Lurker. Yet despite that, the guy still chuckled. You funny bastard, pretending to be just ridiculous. This further confused and angered him while Yua and Horyong arrived to see what was happening with Prince to see Wangyan grab Lurker's jacket. What's so funny? How can you laugh after what you've done? Isn't it funny to commit murder and call it atonement or revenge? This surprised a few of them as he spoke calmly. Do you think you will be a different kind of killer if you say that? In an instant, he was socked in the jaw out of rage before being grabbed again. I'm different from garbage like you. Do you even know why I started this job? The sudden shout back caught Wangyan off guard before Lurker turned his gaze upon Prince. Because I borrowed money from that damn boss. His words caused Prince's eyes to merely widen in surprise before continuing at seeing he's got their attention. Like you, I borrowed money to go up the tower. But after I failed, I saw the size of my debt. That's when I found out I had been scammed. I couldn't deal with it, so I went to see the boss beg for my life. You and I are not different from each other. I had to give up on going up the tower, and I started this job. I've also been preyed upon. His explanation further angered Wang Yan while Yua just looked at Naruto as she recalled the bodies he made, and she wasn't the only one but also Horyong. One day, the boss called me and said that his son was going up the tower. He asked me for a favor. He told me to go up the tower with his son and that he would do anything for his son's future. He said his boy was his treasure. His words caused the kid to look down in thought. I found out he spent all his money bribing the supervisors to rig the test so that his son would pass it. Ahahaha, ahahahahahaha, isn't that just hilarious? Exclamation mark. He's nothing but a thug who wants the money by taking advantage of other regulars' dreams. Treasure. Really, he destroyed my dream to pay way for his, treasure's, dream. That's what it was all about. He begins to calm while staring right at Wang Yan. Look here, you righteous little man. That's what this tower is about. You don't need to blame or hate anyone. You just have to keep climbing up with nothing else mattering. What's the big deal about killing a kid? His words caused Naruto to look down. Unlike when I and the others went up the tower when we first came here. The 10 great families came and fucked everything up. Shut up, you nasty bastard. As he shouted that, Naruto just stares with a blank expression as he watched Wang Yan place his Pokeball-looking object into Lurker's mouth, about to press it and blow his head up. Just keep climbing. Is that your answer? So that's why you killed Nia. 'Cause it's no big deal. I can't accept that. With a look that could kill, his finger was already tensing to press it. No, I can't accept it. I can't, no. At this point, Naruto made a confused expression while staring at Wang Yan, clearly not understanding why he's struggling. You killed Nia. I will. Damn. With that shout, he pulls away from the ball much to Naruto's shock as he watched it getting dropped on the floor. I should forgive. It was at this point Bam, Yua, Horyong, and Prince were also shocked at Naruto suddenly getting behind Wang Yan to lift him and slam him into the wall. Naruto, Yua shouted just as Bam got on the defensive and ready for combat, yet they listened when he spoke. You wanted to kill him. Naruto's eyes narrowed in anger. Are you telling me after all he did you still can't muster up the courage to take a life? With that said, Naruto waited for his response as he looked very irritated, yet his eyes merely widened, seeing tears fall from his eyes. No. Him, Nia, and I. We're all the same, if I forgive him. The ones tricked by Nia, will forgive Nia. I'm sure they will, so, I think, I should forgive him. Naruto's eyes were completely wide. Throughout his life he's never heard of such an answer involving forgiveness, even Lurker was shocked. Are you saying, despite all he did you will forgive him? Naruto's eyes were narrowed in confusion. How would that change any? I will change it, Wang Yan abruptly shouted in Naruto's face, who was once again left speechless. I'll become the king of this tower. I'll change everything in this tower. That made him like this. I'll ensure that no one else ends up like him of Nia ever again. That's the dream that drives me to go up the tower. Even if people laugh and say it's impossible. Even if I fail thousands of times and get betrayed. I'll never give up. Naruto begins to let him down as he grip loosens while Wang Yan turns to look at the shocked Lurker. A man should hold tight to his dream and passion, got it? So from now on, live a good life. This is the chance Nia gave you. With that said, he walks past Naruto, who was looking down at his feet and bothered by something. Wang Yan, Naruto finally said, speaking up that caught his attention. Have you forgotten the deal we made? You obey me and listen to the orders I give you, is that not correct? As he spoke, Wang Yan's eyes visibly widened before looking down and gritting his teeth while closing his eyes until they open upon feeling a pair of hands pat his shoulders and looks up to meet Naruto, giving him a gentle smile that caught Yua the most off guard. Then I order you, his smile grows cheerful, become a kind king, one greater than Jihad ever could be. With that said, he turns his back to him, exits the room in silence with Yua looking down at her feet. Unable to understand just what kind of person Naruto was, perverted, cheerful, murderer, she couldn't tell if he was psychotic or something else altogether, yet besides her, the other person to have his eyes set on Naruto was Bam. As he left, the blonde just walked down the hall while thinking. Some time ago on floor 135. The landscape of the entire floor appeared to take the shape of a massive battlefield scouting miles upon miles wide, with the center being a massive pond with a large torii in the center and atop that a lone figure eating a bowl of ramen. Quite the interesting floor, I must say. The sudden voice caused the figure to stop eating as a pair of glowing red eyes fixate on a certain bunny-looking guardian who floated above the water. Why are you here head-on? The voice had a growl in it. Did you think I wouldn't restrain myself if only you were here? As he said it, his body gave off a dangerous aura while standing up but stops when he raises a hand. I've come here for a reason, so no need to go on a rampage. As he spoke, a clear smile was seen while he looks at the massive red moon. I've got a proposition for you that would help you regaining what you lost. This got the person's attention as he jumps down from the torii to land on the water, creating a shockwave as the person approaches him to reveal he was in a cloak. Explain head-on, was all he said after stopping in front of him just as he gave a small laugh. Be at ease, if not for me you would have been killed by Jihad. This gains another growl as the aura was released again. But anyway, what would you say if I found a way for you to regain what you lost? This caught his attention as the aura was abruptly cut off. How much exactly? As he spoke, he removes the good to show himself, his face like none other than Naruto staring at him coldly. Would I regain everything? This causes his eyes to widen in surprise as he turns and waves his staff to show a single image, a young man particularly. This kid is gonna help me achieve my goals. His eyes narrowed. A brat, what is he, another Mazino? Hey, perhaps. Head-on looks at Naruto with his smile increasing. He will be the key for you, Kurama of the 9 demonic beasts. With his help, you will regain your power, with his help you can exact vengeance upon them, with his help, his eyes widened all the way in complete shock before narrowing. Tell me everything. Damn, that's some good ramen. Shouted and laughed one blonde who had a bottle of sake in one hand while the other his arm was wrapped around Wangyan who was started to get strangled as, killer, seemed to be a happy drunk. Not at all mad at the fact he and Bam were tricked by Wangyan due to the fact the connector he had was, in fact, Wangyan's own and not Bam's, resulting in his and the regulars' win in the game. The ones in the room besides Naruto were Yua who sat away from Whiskers to think more to herself, Wangyan being strangled by Naruto, Akraptor who was previously being strangled by Naruto, Horyong who kept his distance from being strangled, and a smiling Mizing and Goseng who sat together. Why did you all come here after the test? Finally spoke Yua who hated all the noise, especially from the drunk Naruto. Could you please celebrate somewhere else? I'm tired. Yet her words caused the blonde to smirk as he spoke. Ah, I see, since Naruto's drunk you want him all to yourself. Instantly her cheeks turned red. To think you're, ow. Wangyan held his face due to a can having slammed into it while Yua was blushing red. You know damn well that's not true. Her anger was directed at the drunk. There is no way I would sleep with him. Yet this immediately caused Naruto to laugh. Ahahaha, really now? He flashes her his wide grin. Not the first time I heard a cute girl say that only for her to backtrack when he was stopped by also being hit in the face by another can from an angered Yua while Naruto clutched his face, more so the fact they noticed that the can was dented and glasses were damaged showing they were in fact quite durable. Come on Yua, we're on the same team now. Goseng began while turning to the girl. After all, why are you acting so hostile towards Naruto? You yourself wanted to climb the tower with him despite him being a pervert. Instantly her face turns a tomato and looked to see she was looking at Prince who was whistling and trying to act innocent until he saw her glare focused on him before immediately hiding behind Horyong who paid no heed to be used as a bare shield. That's not what I meant. Yua shouted. It wasn't meant like that. Come on guys, no need to tease her. Naruto said with a little slur as he stood up, letting go finally of Wangyan who breathed much easier and moved to Yua who before she could move he sat next to her to wrap an arm around her waist. Tsunere's always acted like that, just give her time and me. He was cut off as he limped forward from the girl slamming her fist into Naruto's privates again, gaining many flinches while Yua just glared at the blonde. I really shouldn't drink so much. Mutters the blonde as he exited his bathroom. The party was over, and it was getting dark out yet what he found standing before him was Yua who looked serious. Something wrong. Cut the jokes. Her hand turned to fists. Why did you do that? Why murder them? You killed them so. Yua froze upon hearing her name spoke coldly, looking up to see his annoyance while he was tipping his glasses to show his red eyes. You are still a child, so you can't comprehend the fact death would always happen in this tower. Yua was getting angry. Besides, they are the ones who committed the crime first by being accessories to murder and killing a kid. Naruto had an emotionless tone while opening the door to their room while pushing his glasses up. The moment they crossed me, they were given the death sentence. With those words, he left her in the room yet she just grits her teeth. Naruto stood by himself, staring at the balls of light high in the night sky with a relaxed smile from enjoying the view. Found you. Upon hearing that, Naruto turns his head to find Bam directly behind him, having arrived through the door and walking towards him. Ah, if it isn't the Slayer candidate. Naruto shows his teeth as he smiled. What brings you to little ol' me? Bam stares at him untrustworthy before he finally spoke. You, taking mere moments to collect his thoughts. Talked about head on, meaning he was the one to have told you about me, and he also knew about Rachel. His hands grew tight while Naruto turned to face him while leaning back on the fence. I'm curious, his smile grew. I heard she betrayed you from head on, pushing you off and abandoning you a second time. What are you gonna say when you finally see her again? Bam just looks down as he looked deep in thought before looking towards the above, staring at the glowing orbs. I'm not sure, he began honestly. Long time no see, maybe how've you been? Should I tell her I missed her? Perhaps ask what she's after. But before anything, why on earth did she push me off in that place? Naruto just stares as he saw him focus his gaze on him. If you're looking for Rachel, then you have an idea where she is. I want you to take me to see her. His question gained a raised eyebrow. What do I get if I do that? I'll do as you. A hand raises to silence Bam, with Naruto finding it to be funny. Geez, what's with idiots offering themselves to be my servants? It almost sounds like I'm some sort of pimp. He begins to laugh a little before the next part took a dark turn. What would you do if I said the true reason I wanted to see Rachel was to slaughter her? In an instant, Bam moved to attack as he got in front of Naruto with his left palm drawn back as an eruption of Shinsu was felt as he thrusts it forward. Blue Wa, his attack was instantly cancelled by a single finger poking the center of his palm, dispersing the Shinsu and in turn feeling disbelief while Naruto casually spoke. Before you say it, no, I'm not so strong I can easily negate it. His finger gets pulled back to show it was steaming. I simply broke it because I'm the one who knew how to. After all, I invented the blue wave explosion. Naruto's relaxed smile and calm words caught Bam off guard as he took a step back in shock. But, my master, it's Ha Jinsung, correct? Bam's eyes completely widen as he watched him turn his back to him while staring high above once more. Before you ask how I knew, it's simply because he's the best at teaching that technique to new members of FUG. He turns to flash his casual grin. What I'm saying is, he learned it from me when I met him long ago. Bam's eyes widened the way before he spoke. You're Kurama of the 9 demonics. This caused Naruto to show surprise as he raised an eyebrow. Master told me about you, he said, along with everyone in FUG, you were the closest to killing Jihad. A smile laugh was earned from Naruto, who turned to him. I wouldn't say it was close, all I did was attack Jihad when there was an opening and took his left arm. Yet his expression turned sour. It doesn't change the fact, after that power I've now found myself in this weakened form. Bam could see the frustration on his face while he spoke. Why did you come to find me? That question earned another eyebrow from the individual. Because Head-On told me you would be the one to help achieve my goals. This caused Bam to look down, now believing that the reason why he brought Rachel up was to use her as a means of a hostage against him. Because it's you, I'll tell you my goals, they're only a few. With that said, he held up his hand. My first goal is to reclaim what was stolen from me by the head of the Lopobia. When he stated that, Bam just looked surprised. Wait, he stole your power? Believing that to be the answer, he abruptly said it, only to get a shake of the head. Not exactly, I may still have the power inside me, but what he stole in turn made it so I can't control my power. Naruto raises his left to show a minuscule red aura. Because of it, I can't even use a single tail, otherwise I go berserk and attack everyone and everything while entering my 9th tail. It would take a family head level ranker to stop me while I go berserk in that stage. As he finished, he raises a second finger. As you know, like FUG, I want Jihad dead along with the head of the Lopobia family. The others I don't really care about, more so the fact, hey. Naruto looks away with an awkward smile. Let's just say, I'm very good friends with the heads of the Eurasia and Pobidao families. His words confused Bam at the last part, yet his smile completely disappears as he shows number 3. My third goal is to avenge the 9 demonics, a separate thing from wanting Jihad dead. His expression looked irritated. To explain why, I should start at how we got that name. You see, like yourself, we are also irregulars and have climbed the tower before Jihad and the 10 great families' time. Bam's eyes instantly widen all the way in shock. Wait, you've climbed the tower? Bam appeared to need an answer. Have you made it to the top? Did you see what the outside world looks like? The sky, the stars. Bam was silenced by a finger meeting his lips as he smiled. Sorry, but among the things that were agreed upon with head-on I cannot reveal anything involving the outside. Just like that, Bam looked disappointed, which gained a small laugh from Naruto before he looks back at the view. You see, I and the others were one hell of an unorthodox and controversial group compared to the 10 great families. One being we straight up tried killing each other on every floor to the point even the floor administrators got involved, which ended in head-on getting called. Ahahaha, sometimes it ended with head-on getting in a petty fight with one of us. It felt like a comedy, to be honest. This caused Bam to start sweating at now understanding why his master said the 9 demonics were controversial and somewhat of a joke compared to the 10 great families and how their story was told when they climbed the tower. At this point, Naruto snapped his fingers and an image appeared almost like a picture above their heads to show who was among the group. 1. Shukaku deceased. 2. Matabi deceased. 3. Isobu deceased. 4. Son Goku deceased. 5. Kokuo deceased. 6. Saiken deceased. 7. Chome deceased. 8. Yuki deceased. 9. Kurama. Naruto alive. Upon seeing that, Bam's eyes widened at what he was seeing while Naruto didn't even turn to look at the image. You see, comparing us to the 10 great families, we were far stronger. But because of our existence, he decided we were ruining the story. So he got rid almost all of us, leaving me and in turn leaving me with a curse. When Bam heard that, he saw Naruto snap his fingers and the image changed to show darkness, confusion him until he saw it, a ranking and name. Ranked 1. Phantaminum. Upon reading that, Bam didn't say anything as this was the first time he's even seen that name. After what happened, I lived my life doing what I want without an actual goal before meeting Jihad and the 10 brats along with a couple of others I liked the most. I became a sort of guide for them. Though, after they climbed more things happened that I rather not get into. What I'll say is floor 135 was sealed and as of right now head-on made me the administrator of floor 135. It was to either keep me out of things before his new chess game was set, but it doesn't matter, even I know he wasn't exactly thrilled when things started to change too fast. He seemed more annoyed after the 10 greats caused the tower to change. After he finished that, he could see Bam silent and looking down at his feet before Naruto snaps his fingers again with the screen disappearing. My last goal, well, it's simple and in a way it is the most important one. As Naruto spoke, Bam could clearly see how important the last one was to him. It's that, as he finished speaking, Bam was silent, yet what could be seen was his eyes were completely wide and filled with utter shock at what he had just heard, something never before he could have imagined, which Naruto just walks past him, leaving Bam to his own thoughts on what he should do now while he walks into the opening to stop. It's rude to eavesdrop, yeah, no. As he spoke, he turned to see Iwa leaning against the wall with completely wide eyes filled with disbelief before looking at Naruto, who looked clearly bothered. So I suggest you don't utter what you heard at all, lest you incur my wrath. 1 month later on floor 21, white sigilled floor. As these sounds escape his lips, slowly a pair of ocean blue eyes opened up to be greeted by the sight of a ceiling with a fan spinning slowly. With that sound escaping his lips, he sat up slowly with a yawn before scratching his chest with his gaze moving around the room to find clothing everywhere as well as a bunch of empty bottles of alcohol and sake. When he heard that sound, he moved his gaze upon his right to find a woman clinging to his body tightly. She was an ordinary-looking woman with brown hair and an ample bust pressed into his body that was quite fit. He proceeded to wipe the trail drool from her mouth. Oh yeah, Naruto starts to smile while laying back down, which immediately the girl snuggles into him. So confident, the woman mumbled while she was rubbing her face into him. Let's see if you can rock my world, Mr. Foxy. Naruto couldn't help but breathe out a small laugh while staring at the woman named Serena Rinnan, recalling about her from what she told him, having taken the first floor test with Bam and failing it, yet despite that she still went up the tower but not as a regular. Gotta say, 10 out of 10. Hey. Naruto just flashes his grin while contemplating whether or not to give her his number so they can hook her up again. Hopefully she doesn't find out about this, rather not get an earful. Naruto tried to stop his laugh but it came out in chuckles, causing his partner to be disturbed as she sat up sleepily and smiled. Seems, someone's up. Yawned. What, did you want breakfast or go another round? As she spoke, flashing her smile, she leans more into the smiling Naruto until they were silenced by a sudden loud knock at the door with a shout. Naruto, open up now. Yua's voice could be heard on the other side. I know you're in there, so get up. With irritation being heard in her tone, the two just sigh, with Serena looking more disappointed than Naruto, yet reluctantly watched him get out of bed to get dressed. Thanks for the night, Serena. He flashes her his grin. If we meet on another floor, let's do this again, though. You sure you don't want to see Bam? He was now fully dressed. Serena just smiles while shaking her head, and he understood before he opened the door to be greeted by a very annoyed Yua tapping her foot. She looks past him to find Serena, who was surprised before sweating as she gave a weak smile and a wave. Seeing this, Yua was now glaring daggers at the blonde, who appeared to be making the distance between him and her and looking innocent until she grabbed his fox ear. Hey, watch the ear. What are you, a man whore? Technically, I don't get paid. That's not the point. With that, she starts dragging him off while the door shuts behind him, leaving Serena by herself as she leans back into the bed and notices something on the table. After giving it a closer look, she saw it was Naruto's pocket number and an envelope of instructions for how she can take the test again and become a regular. Seeing this, her eyes nearly bulged. He can do to. Who the hell did I sleep with, an administrator? Now you stay. Yua orders the blonde after he gets pulled into the building Bam had rented out for them due to Naruto not wanting to do the spending though when it comes to alcohol. Boo, I was having fun. Muttered the irregular, who was disappointed as a small part of him hoped Yua would join, yet that dream was ended quickly. I don't get you. His words seemed to trigger the girl, who had a tick mark on her head, glaring at him before Goseng approaches the two of them. So you found Naruto, she said with a smile while looking at him. What happened to you? I wandered around the restaurant, found a bar, had a drinking contest with a babe, went back to her room, ye. He shouts while falling to his knees from the once again nut shot he will recover from soon, which Goseng looks at Yua pinching the bridge of her nose. You shouldn't go out and getting it on with other women. Her gaze turns cold while focusing on Naruto. After all, what would she think of this? Her words immediately got a reaction that confused Goseng at seeing he looked bothered before standing up as if nothing happened. With that, the two seemed to have glared at each other, with Goseng being very confused. Ever since the night of the exam, Yua has been distant from Naruto as if in deep thought until she found him sleeping with someone in her bed. The end result was she now talks back to him involving some girl, yet that only seems to bother Naruto, who doesn't bother to try and stop her, as he deserves it. Anyways, Naruto began while looking past her towards Prince and Mizing playing a dance game that caused Naruto to smile at seeing their joy. What are the two lovebirds doing? He said, yet quieter to not reduce them into blushing messes and ruin the game of sorts. I think they're into it. She smiles at seeing them really into it. Don't worry, it's a form of exercise. Do you want some watermelon? In response she most shakes her head, going for a glass of water while Akraptor watched from the kitchen part of the room with Naruto following just to sit in front of the man who spoke. Out with another woman? I will not deny nor confirm that. From your gloomy look, I'm guessing you're the one who picked Naruto up instead of arriving at the same time. Instead of a response he got a question while she was looking through the cabinet. Mr. Viol, is he out? He went to see someone. He said he was going to the marketplace. Immediately, she became suspicious and looked at Naruto, who was trying some sort of experiment by making ramen using a watermelon as a bowl, attempting a watermelon flavor one. And nobody followed after him? Yua asked, suspicious what's happening behind the scenes, more so the fact still unsure of what she thought of Fug, with Naruto basically being one of the main heads of it in a way after what she heard and deduced. He said he'd be back soon. Why would we? This caused her to become more bothered, which Naruto sighs at seeing it as clear as day. Yawn. Enter Wang Yan, who came in scratching his stomach while he spoke. I don't think Viol is the kind of guy who does stuff like that. He got Yua's attention. You know, now that I've spent time with him, he doesn't seem bad, he's gentle. This seemed to have immediately triggered the girl, who glares at him. And he lets us live in the house that he rented. He even does an equal share of the housework. Moreover, you're such a bad cook that he even does your share of the cooking. Hearing these only angered her, while Akraptor and Naruto nodded in agreement. But he's a Fug member. So is Naruto. With that said he points at the blonde, who tries to look adorable with his ears bending in a way to give off that cute feel. You guys. All right. If that's what you think, I'll be the only one keeping an eye on him. If I catch him doing bad things, I'll take home down, and you guys with him. At this point she shattered and proceeded to march out of the kitchen area, which Naruto just stares after her while she proclaims that she will catch Bam in the act. How did I find myself in this situation, surrounded by Fug? Yua was face to face with a man. Whisk behind her was Bam and a red-headed chick. All four in the karaoke bar. The moment upon finding the Fug member, she found the newcomer suddenly arriving from the door. Hey, Ryan, the red-headed just raises her eyebrow from her single eye. Didn't you say it's just the three of us today? Is she a new member? His words caused her to be on the defensive. I get it, you're from Fug. While she deduced that easily, the man just looks at her hairpin to recognize it. By the way, lady, I've seen that hairpin before, isn't that the crest of the Yian family? This seemed to Jab's alert Bam, who began to have a bad feeling. Are you their spy? This seemed to have set her off while Bam came to her defense. Mr. Jinsung, stop, she's my teammate, she's not a spy. His words seemed to have caused him to relax thankfully. Oh, are you Viol's teammate? I apologize, yet sadly her pride ended the peaceful moment. Who's you, teammate? This confused the man. Don't lie, you fooled your teammates by coming here secretly to meet with the Fug. What are you planning with them, huh? You trick us like this and you call us teammates? Ridiculous. As she shouted, Jinsung began to get annoyed. You're worse than dirt. You pretended you were so nice and, instantly she felt a cold chill as the man spoke while tossing his jacket on the floor. Hey, girl, isn't that enough? It's none of your business. You jerk with the cheap perm. This got an eye twitch from the guy. Do you think I'm AF? Yua froze just as she felt her skirt being lifted up. That caused Bam to go silent, Jinsung confused, and Ryan to smile. Black lingerie, muttered a perverted fox. I just knew I saw you. He was cut off by ring kicked in the face by Yua, who proceeded to grab Naruto and lift him by his shirt. Are you trying to die? Odd coming from the one who almost got herself killed. When she heard that, he flicks her on the forehead, which caused her to flinch while she lets go to rub her head. Hey, what's? She froze instantly upon meeting his red eyes beneath his glasses. What you did was beyond stupid, Yua. If not for me, the chances of you being killed would have risen. This caught her off guard. If not for Bam being here, you would have died and your body was hidden as if you had just gone missing. Upon hearing that and his tone being cold, she couldn't help but look down while Naruto pushes up his glasses before he places a hand atop her head, catching her once again off guard. Geez, you're a handful. He shows a small smile. Just try to be on good behavior, okay? It would be a shame if something were to happen to you. His words immediately triggered a blush before she turns away with her arms crossed. Fine, but it doesn't mean I'll trust them. Not asking you to, just try not to start shouting insults at people who can kill you if they wanted to. While this was happening, Jinsung was raising an eyebrow before Ryan spoke. How about we go to Viol's house together? She suddenly offered, catching Yua off guard. It's quiet there. Oh, I'm in, but I'm not. Good idea. With that said, Ryan decided to lead the way with both Viol and Yua also following reluctantly due to knowing they had to go back to their house even with unexpected guests. While they were walking up ahead, Naruto and Jinsung were staying in the back as they followed behind them as they left the building. I heard that you go by Naruto now. Jinsung cracked a smile. Any reason why a food topping, master? This got a loud sigh from the blonde. Head on. Of course, after all you told me he liked fucking with you the most out of the others. As he said that, Jinsung was smiling out of joy, which Naruto chuckles as he too smiles. He always found my over-the-top reactions to be hilarious. That smile turned sad when he looked at the back of Ryan's head as she led the way, which Jinsung noticed. Already planning on sleeping with her next? No, this gained a raised eyebrow. After all, when I look at the back of her head, it reminds me too much of her. When he heard that, Jinsung looked bothered now before he sighs. You know, his gaze focuses on the sky. I think we may be able to pull it off. Once Viol becomes strong enough and you located the others, I think we'll be able to save her. As he heard that, the smile returns to his face filled with hope, which Yua noticed as her eyes widen as seeing such a genuine smile before his gaze met hers, and immediately she blushes and looks away, grumbling something under her breath as she goes faster. Watching this, Naruto smirks at finding it funny. She's such a tsundere. Kinda figured after seeing how violently she acted towards you. With that said, the two looks at each other before burst out laughing, which caught Bam off guard as he too looked back to see his master smiling cheerfully just like Naruto as the two finally stopped, both raising their fists as they connect. To our goals. Jinsung began. To our dreams. Naruto finished. As the two walked with smiles on their faces, Bam just watched the entire thing, finally seeing the relationship between Naruto, Kurama and Jinsung, master and student. WTF. That was the single thought running through the head of one sweating Wangyan who sat on the couch between Goseng and Mizing. Before they were at table and after sat Naruto, Jinsung, Ryan, and Bam, who didn't want to be in the same room as a teenager with his parents that wanted to meet his friends. Ah ha 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 ha. Wang Yun's laugh shook. I see, so you're other FUG members, but you're not a bad guy. Ah ha ha. But why are you here? His nervous question got a chilled answer from the man eating ramen. Well, Jinsung began after swallowing some noodles. I came to see if my Slayer nominee was doing okay. I was his martial arts teacher. I've been wondering about his teammates. He glances at Naruto, who just smiles. I heard that it wasn't his choice to form the team. Naruto said you straight up tricked him and Viol. You've got guts, huh? And where are your other teammates? I heard there were others. Some went to check on our rivals for the next exam. It starts this week. Jinsung smiles upon hearing that, finding this to be an interesting team. I'm glad the team seems to be harmonious. His smile brightens. I was worried cause he's too gloomy. It's nice to have bright non-emo teammates. This caused Bam to put on a confused expression, not getting it was a joke. I'm just worried that you'll bully Viol. His gaze narrows suspiciously while Naruto and Ryan stare at him, seeing he was being actually literal while Bam didn't know what to say, unlike Wangyan who did as he sweat. Do you make him do household chores? That question earned a smirk as the whiskered one spoke up. He cooks. His gaze shifts over towards the door. It turns out one of our teammates almost committed mass murder with her cooking skill. And most like that, he could feel the anger from behind it at knowing who was listening, yet that smile disappears when a minute went by and they were having their own conversation, her and Akraptor. I heard from Wangyan that during your first test you couldn't control your powers. No one wanted to team up with you. Aren't you afraid to reveal the fact that you can't control your powers as a member of the Yin family? If so, what will you do? As he heard that, Naruto's herd turns away from everyone to stare at the door as his ears twitched, gaining surprise from Jinsung at seeing he's more interested in something else, as well as he's not smiling. Will you laugh at me? Because I'm an idiot who can't even control her own powers. Because as she spoke, Naruto stood up abruptly. Defective. As Yua spoke that word, all of a sudden they go wide-eyed at seeing the door suddenly get slammed open, surprising the two of them while Naruto just stares at her, approaching her while she stood up. Why you were eavesdropping? She was silenced by his hand being placed on her shoulder while he spoke. It's plainly obvious to me, it's not that you lack the skill to control your power, it's that your power is so large you have yet to master it. As he finished speaking while her eyes widened, he walked past him to the fridge and opened it to retrieve another cup of instant ramen. Plus I've been in this tower longer than the 10 great families. He placed 3 cup in the microwave while he turned to her. And you are by no means a defect, in fact, you were born gifted. As he said that, he didn't bother to look at her expression but pressed the button to turn on the microwave, yet his ears twitched when he heard her heartbeat get faster and turns to see a light blush and a complicated expression which increased when Naruto gave her a smile but stops with his ear twitching to hear the door close, marking Bam has left, which he proceeded to approach the door to be greeted by quite the scene. You know, my Viol. He's seriously a genius. His masters move after seeing them once. I was shocked. I've never seen anything like it. I'm not just talking him yo because I taught him. Naruto begins to sweat drop, his reaction copying Wangan is smiling yet uncomfortable. Don't you agree, Wangyan? What about you, sensei? You must have. He stops to hear the door closing a second time, looking to see Naruto had also left. Huh, Ryan just sighs while picking up a piece of fruit with her fork. He left right after Viol. It started when you began speaking like an idiot. Upon hearing that, Goseng offered the idea that they were on the roof. All right. Jinsung immediately moved towards the door, all happy like to the point it was cringe. Then I'll go see the two. Have fun, Wangyan. With that said, he closed the door behind him, yet his expression became rather complicated with his eyes narrowing, recalling the ring he saw Wangyan wearing, and just sighs loudly. Geez, this is the 3rd time sensei is climbing the tower and he's already got some controversial teammates. As he thought that, his thoughts drifted over the Yin girl. Now that I think about it, he has a tendency to gain the affection of a girl from the 10 great families, yet that thought earned a snort and a sad smile. Sigh, was the single sound being released from Naruto's lips while he stood on the roof, staring at the night sky despite it not being the actual sky. In his right hand was a bottle of sake. Busy day. As he muttered that, His gaze held sadness before he snaps his fingers with his left hand, and just like that a pocket appears on his right, displaying two images. One being the first team that he just stares at. 1. Shukaku deceased. 2. Matabi deceased. 3. Isobu deceased. 4. Son Goku deceased. 5. Kokuo deceased. 6. Seiken deceased. 7. Chome deceased. 8. Yuki deceased. 9. Kurama Naruto alive. As he looked over their names he downs the sake immediately before pulling it away with a light blush as he breathes out before looking up once again but this time at the second group. 1. Kurama Naruto alive. 2. Eurasia and Zahard sealed. 3. Adori Zahard. After reading that, he goes to take another drink until he heard footsteps and glances over to see Yu approaching him, staring at the names and what was next to them before stopping on his side. So, she began, glancing at Naruto. You were on a team with her, just you two. Her words caused Naruto to let out a small chuckle while looking back at the list. As you already know, after what happened to my first team, I lived my life doing what I wanted without an actual reason. Most of us were killed right in front of our eyes and we just drifted apart after that. Meeting that Zahard and the others I became a guide to add reason again in my life yet as you already know, it didn't go well. His eyes narrowed in anger. After what that worthless king did and my control is taken from me, if not for head-on I would have been killed by them. It was during my time of seclusion I got even more bored on the final floor and wanted to move around though I couldn't contain my anger. You could imagine my shock when I visited head-on on the exact same day a certain girl was allowed to climb. As he spoke, a smile formed on his face yet a sad one. Eurasia and Zahard, despite being ranked as a regular, you still climbed the tower as her guide even though you despised the 10 greats. Getting a nod, she continued. By then she began drawing in others towards her, becoming well known. As she finished, Naruto turns around to lean against the railing he slides against, taking a drink of the sake. It's said she started to change oddly and dangerously and sometimes she killed for no reason at all, especially members of the Zahard family, telling you more is pointless since you already heard it. Yua just looks away. It was a lie. The moment she heard that Yua's widened in shock and just looks at Naruto to see him staring at the sake. After climbing the tower, she became a princess of Zahard but what you don't know is, after that she broke 2 rules. A princess cannot have a relationship with a man. At this point, her eyes widen now understanding the full picture. Cannot have a child. Bingo. She was pregnant with my child, by then I believe I figured out the curse has holes in it and upon him finding out, more so being me, it caused massive problems. Almost caused a war since the only one who knew of this was Eurasia Blossom, the only head that I actually like though Gustang. I rather not go over that complicated relationship. Now, no more questions. Naruto abruptly stood up. I'm going to bed, was all he said while he walks away from her, leaving her by herself as the image of the names disappear. He's complicated. A jolt was enacted as Yua turns to find Jinsung watching his sensei leave from the top of a water tower. Don't ever assume you know everything. Like my father, it's normal for someone strong to have multiple wives, however, he shouldn't be that fixated on one woman. As he recalled the words spoken by Masheni, he scratches his hair. The most complicated thing in Sensei's life is his love life. This surprised the girl. Now that I think about it, he never had a romantic relationship with anyone until N. Just imagine it, spending all those decades and centuries without having something like that, then being betrayed before loneliness once again. Hearing that, Yua just looks down as she tries to imagine even a fraction of what Naruto has gone through during that time while Jinsung noticed someone in the distance atop another building. You're here, Karika. 4 days later, test floor 21F. Team. Ramen. Damn it Naruto, Yua's shout slammed into the blonde despite standing next to her and the others. Why the hell are we named Ramen? I regret nothing. Yua's eye twitches while glaring at the blonde avoiding eye contact while Mizing was asking Bam if you wanted snacks and both Prince as well as Wangyan arguing that the names they made up could have been better. Akraptor, Horyong, and Goseng just watching the whole thing going down. Only stopping once the examiner arrives to find Yua trying and failing to attack the blonde. Now they all stood in front of the one giving the exam, Noma who wore a very noticeable style of a red Japanese traditional attire with a red hat that has a yin-yang symbol on it. Goseng began upon seeing something wrong. What's going on, sir? Where's our rival team? This gained an awkward laugh from the guy who rubs his cheek. Well. You see, they already passed. This surprised them all except for a few who didn't really care. It's a long story but doesn't worry, I pre-order another interesting one. 21F Inner Tower Borderline, Over the Sea. Oh. This is amazing, Wang Yan began, despite everyone wondering if he's overseen the ocean before while they stood on a small transport ship gliding over the water. It's the sea, yet that wasn't what amazed quite a few of them. Prince, Wang Yan, Minsang, and even Bam watched with amazement at seeing flying fish. How could they be having fun? Muttered Yua, who sat under an umbrella next to Naruto and Akraptor. We're here for the test, not to goof off. They're all so excited. Yet as she said that, both Naruto and Akraptor raised an eyebrow at seeing her put tanning oil on her skin before they share a look and smile to themselves before focusing on the supervisor dressed in swimwear, goggles, and a floaty. So Googles, where we headed? You can't see anything now but the test arena will appear soon. It was with that being said the ship came to halt just as they saw the water rumbling before in a mere 10 seconds rise as a massive creature that took them all by surprise. That is the stage on which you'll take this test. The supervisor smiles. It's Zaijena. Yet despite hearing that, Naruto found this to be suspicious as his instincts were kicking in, yet he couldn't tell exactly why as they watched the massive creature open its mouth to roar. Wang Yan tried finding the words. Take the exam there. Immediately he got the answer he needed by the supervisor. Yes, that creature is called a Zaijena. His smile grows. It's like a mystical creature to the people on the 21F floor. Anyways, all you have to do is go inside the body of Zaijena and find the flower of Zaijena. Despite a few being stuck on going inside, Naruto was focused on why take a flower, wondering if there is a monster inside from his instincts kicking in. The flower is Zaijena is a jewel that only grows inside the Zaijena. To be specific, it is a flower but a flower they grows a jewel. There is a blue jewel growing on the flower of Zaijena and its color is so unique that it's considered one of the most beautiful jewels. It is valuable because it only grows in the Zaijena's body and is hard to find. The supervisor jumps into the water to float on it. There's a motorboat inside the floating ship. Is the boat to go inside the Zaijena's body? I don't even understand. Wang Yan questions the other blonde, all of them on a small boat next to the massive creature. Why do we have to go inside it? And find a jewel that doesn't belong to us? At this point, Naruto knew Wang Yan wasn't wrong but stayed silent, watching in no time flat that a ladder was prepared for them already, sticking out on its side which Wang Yan and Mizing, Ginseng, and Akraptor were climbing it while the others watched the four get to the top. Now, you guys stay back. Ginseng shouted at the edge. Zaijena will flip soon. With a shout and a wave with Minseng doing the same, they retreat to the opening blowhole. They had planned to split up and go through the one on its back and on its belly. Doing so would be far faster, not to mention Zaijena surfaces for 2.5 hours to sunbathe and flips every 30 minutes. Alright, then, should we hurry? As Prince asked that, he pulls the lever. Yet nothing. He gives a few more pulls yet only clicks were heard, this starting to worry them with Naruto beginning to sweat. What's wrong? Yua stepped forward, looking down at the annoyed Prince who was trying to get it to work. This isn't working. What? Immediately Yua pushes Prince out of the way. Let me try. And like Prince, she pulls it yet nothing, but instead of stopping she kept trying with her anger rising. Why isn't it working? Piece of junk. At this point, they noticed her hand ablaze. Yua, Naruto began while pouting at her hand. Your hands. He was silenced as the motor exploded with flames. Gaining only silence as Naruto, Bam, Horyong, and Prince were all worried due to not wanting to test their lung capacity now of all times, while Yua was frozen as she stared at the flames before calmly turning with a smile. Now that it's a black motor, it'll be twice as fast. What kind of logic is that? Shouts Naruto, showing disbelief while Prince points at her accusingly. You're an arsonist. Guys. By the time Bam said that, they all pretty much knew what his words meant and turned to see the creature moving whole. It roars. Run, black motor, tearfully shouted Yua, who began hitting it with her hands, followed by Naruto doing the same. Stop obsessing over the black motor. Prince shouted, but they all stopped and look up to see it was in mid-flip. It results in all of them shouting, screaming, with Yua holding onto Naruto for dear life. Oh my god. With that single shout, it flips over atop them all, making a large splash before the silence and an eruption of water being shot out of its belly. This, muttered a soaking wet Naruto, having climbed up the ladder with Yua hanging from his neck. Is why you're not allowed to touch the toaster anymore. With that said, Yua slumps and slides off Naruto's back to lay on her own. Huff. I almost died, she began, trying to catch her breath with Naruto looking at her like, I'm the one who carried you, how are you out of breath? I would have died if you hadn't saved me. I should have focused more on swimming when I was little, I could barely move towards the surface. As she said that, she finally catches her breath and sat up. Phew, I hope they're all okay. She gets up to make her way to the edge quickly yet finds that there's not a trace of them at all, which worry grips her heart. Are they all dead? She grits her teeth in anger while Naruto just stood behind her and watches. Mr. Horyong, Mr. Prince, Thug, yet again no reply to while Naruto sniffs the air. They're not dead. Immediately Yua looks at him while his ears twitched. I can smell them, they just went inside. He could see her begin to relax upon hearing that. Oh, I knew they were alive. This got a raised eyebrow from Naruto. Anyways, she was cut off as she lost her footing on the wet skin of the creature, falling back wide-eyed towards the edge before Naruto abruptly caught her hand before pulling her back, yet she unconsciously grabbed onto him with her arms wrapping around the blonde, surprising him before she blushes and pushes Naruto away. Thanks. Anyways we need to move. Hearing her stutter, Naruto couldn't help but smile. You are such a tsundere. What did you just call me? Naruto just smiles while she was glaring at him, her face even redder, and that was when Naruto finally felt it. Due to being so weak he would have instantly detected it, yet at his level he could only pick up on it until now. Yua stopped at seeing Naruto going silent yet wide-eyed before he turns his face in the direction of the tunnel inside the creature. That presence, well damn, seems we've got one massive problem. This seemed to confuse her until he said the name. Mazino, Fuke. Upon hearing that, she too was shocked. The fourth-ranked strongest, he's here. Yua was amazed, yet that ends when she saw that expression and immediately her gaze turns cold. That look, what did you do? What she got was a very nervous laugh and sweat as his smile began to falter. Well, you see, during my travels a few decades ago, he falters upon seeing her gaze getting even colder. I met a princess of Jihad who I had a few questions for. We chatted and I drank, long story short. I slept the night, yet hearing that, she still didn't get it. Yurik has a thing for her and he visited that morning with a bouquet of flowers. You can imagine his shock at the door opening to reveal a shocked Garam with me in the background getting dressed. Quote. 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 At this point, Yua's eye twitches while Naruto was looking away, sweating bullets. Naruto, you manwhore. Okay, I deserve that. Last time. This, muttered a soaking wet Naruto, having climbed up the ladder that was attached to the giant whale-like creature that had flipped over on them with Yua hanging from his neck. Is why you're not allowed to touch the toaster anymore, yeah, damn arsonist. With that said, Yua slumps and slides off Naruto's back to lie on her own. Huff. I almost died, she began, trying to catch her breath with Naruto looking at her like, I'm the one who carried you, how are you out of breath? I would have died if you hadn't saved me. I should have focused more on swimming when I was little, I could barely move towards the surface. As she said that, she finally catches her breath and sat up. Phew, I hope they're all okay. She gets up to make her way to the edge quickly yet finds that there's not a trace of them at all, which worry grips her heart. Are they all dead? She grits her teeth in anger while Naruto just stood behind her and watches. Mr. Horyong, Mr. Prince, Thug, yet again no reply to while Naruto sniffs the air. They're not dead. Immediately Yua looks at him while his ears twitched. I can smell them, they just went inside. He could see her begin to relax upon hearing that. Oh, I knew they were alive. This got a raised eyebrow from Naruto. Anyways, she was cut off as she lost her footing on the wet skin of the creature, falling back wide-eyed towards the edge before Naruto abruptly caught her hand before pulling her back, yet she unconsciously grabbed onto him with her arms wrapping around the blonde, surprising him before she blushes and pushes Naruto away. Thanks. Anyways we need to move. Hearing her stutter, Naruto couldn't help but smile. You are such a tsundere. What did you just call me? Naruto just smiles while she was glaring at him, her face even redder, and that was when Naruto finally felt it. Due to being so weak he hadn't instantly detected it until now. Yua stopped at seeing Naruto going silent yet wide-eyed before he turns his face in the direction of the tunnel inside the creature. That presence, well damn, seems we've got one massive problem. This seemed to confuse her until he said the name. Mazino, Fuke. Upon hearing that, she too was shocked. The fourth ranked strongest, he's here. Yua was amazed, yet that ends when she saw that expression and immediately her gaze turns cold. That look, what did you do? What she got was a very nervous laugh and sweat as his smile began to falter. Well, you see, during my travels a few decades ago, he falters upon seeing her gaze getting even colder. I met a princess of Zahard who I had a few questions for. We chatted and I drank. Long story short, I slept the night, yet hearing that, she still didn't get it. Yurik has a thing for her and he visited that morning with a bouquet. You can imagine his shock at the door opening to reveal a shocked Garam with me in the background getting dressed. Quote. 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 At this point, Yua's eye twitched while Naruto was looking away, sweating bullets. Naruto, you manwhore. Okay, I deserve that. Current time. Naruto and Yua were making their way through the body of the Zaigena, the giant sea creature, in silence. One was mad while the other still rubbing his face, the sting almost gone while they were making many twists and turns through it as the two kept dealing with the fact the entire thing kept shaking repeatedly and the light is very faint. So with how long you've been in this tower, how much do you know about this flower? Her question gained his attention before he places a hand on his chin. Last I recall, I think this flower of Zaigena thing will only grow inside the body of the Zaigena, the Shinhyuk divine sea aquatic animal that lives on this floor. I think it was some kinda jewel that grows in the center being known as very beautiful. Yet it's hard to acquire due to the thing being endangered and all. But enough about that, how goes the training to control your flames? This question took her off guard, yet she just looks away while her right hand rubbed her left arm. What do you think? She said with more of an annoyed tone, which Naruto just looks away, yet wider he could speak again. She spoke. Back during the test, this got his attention. I've been thinking it over but I never could think of an answer. The moment my flames came in contact with you they were corroded and turned pitch black before fading away. What kind of ability was that? Just after the question was asked, the area they were in shook massively once again, causing both to have trouble keeping balance until Yua started to fall backward and was caught by Naruto, who grabbed her hand to stop her before pulling her back in her own 2 feet. Thanks. Her words merely got a big smile from Naruto, yet this only earned a glare from her in response. Don't give me that big grin, you perverted fox. This got a laugh from the blonde, which in turn caused her to blush in embarrassment while glaring at him, but that all ends when Naruto's ears perk up and he suddenly hurried, which she follows, and after a few more twists and turns, the blonde stops at a corner. She was silenced by Naruto extending a hand to her mouth. Using her fingers to shish her lips, yet that immediately takes a turn for the worst as the man felt something wet and warm before turning, which he goes wide-eyed at having just put his fingers in Yua's mouth mid-talk. Resulting in Yua regaining her surprised composure and in turn trading it with anger as she bit down on his fingers, leaving the blonde to hold on a shout as he pulls his hand out to her mouth, gripping it painfully while the 10 family member just glared at him with her arms crossed, the sight causing Naruto to shrink a little at the clear anger. Sorry. Next time you do that, I'm taking your fingers. Yes ma'am. With that interaction done, Naruto once again leans against the wall of flesh and peeks around the corner, getting the sight of Bam, Horyong, and Prince standing before a shadowy man sitting in the darkness. What's happening? Yua all but whispered to Naruto, who was already frowning deeply. He's here. Haven't you tried to tell him it didn't happen? Do you actually think he was in a talkative mood whenever he saw me? Hell, I had no way to contact him either. She just stares at him blankly. Despite all the connections with Fug, contacting one guy was that much an issue until she realized word would spread like wildfire if he used Fug. Despite the situation, Yua couldn't help but turn with a smile on her face at the situation Naruto was now in. Let's give up on this exam. Horyong was heard saying to Bam Viol, who just stood there, staring at the man. I can't give up. Naruto's eyes slowly widen as he watched the idiot irregular approaching one of, if currently not the strongest person in the entire tower. Please, get away so you won't be put in harm's way. I'll take the exam. His words merely shocked the larger man. Stop, Viol, we can try again next time. Viol, stop. It was at that point the man took notice of something behind the three. I know you're hiding over there, come on out. His words caused Naruto and Yua to jolt and she starts to sweat while the ones in the room turn to look behind them at the corner. Once I count to 3, if you don't reveal yourselves, I will show no mercy. His threat hangs in the air, Bam frowning as he looks at the corner where the two finally revealed themselves with Naruto hiding behind Yua. The sight just surprised them at seeing they were truly okay. Naruto, why are you hiding behind Yua? Prince questions yet immediately gained a glare from Naruto that shut him up, but at this point, there was only silence from the man who was staring specifically at Yua and not Naruto. Bam, Horyong, and Prince just look at each other while Yurik focused even more on the girl before he whistled. I knew I smelled perfume, gotta say you're quite the looker. He flashes her a charming smile and immediately Bam, Horyong, and Prince just sweat drop, unlike Yua who starts to sweat more while holding back the disgust as what he said reminded her of a certain blonde behind her. Anyways babies, if I had known you had such a beauty on your team I wouldn't have acted so harshly with you. How about this? That smile all but disappeared when his gaze focused on the one behind Yua, a certain blonde indeed. Bright yellow hair, fox ears poking from the hair, and whisker marks along with the avoidance of eyes. This sight all but confirmed it as the man had a tick mark form on his head. Naruto, huh, he starts cracking his knuckles which immediately Naruto jolts. Hey baby, mind explaining why you're the only one hiding? In response, Naruto stuck his head out yet looked quite uncomfortable. And no reason at all, just admiring Yua from behind. This got a raised fist from the girl whose glare caused him to take a step back while raising his hands. This sight just causes Yurik to frown. Ramen baby by chance ever heard of, Kurama, does that ring any bells? This got a head of sweat to fall from his face yet he scratches the back of his head sheepishly. And nope, never heard of him. That got an eye twitch from the man who jumped down from the pile of monster corpses he sat upon, standing before the group. I never said it was a guy's name. That got wide-eyed and before he could swear, Bam all of a sudden stepped forward, gaining their attention. Hey baby, could you be quiet and leave? I've got a personal vendetta so if you don't want to die, I suggest you leave. Despite hearing that, Bam did not even falter an ounce. I have things that I fear more than death. He extends his right hand where Shinsu was seen gathering, this just surprising the two of them before Yurik waves a hand to blow a gust of wind at Bam's face to see his face and eyes. Your hair is unkempt yet your eyes are alright. Okay then, he cracks his neck. Before I deal with that bastard, I'll play with you, little boy. He flashes a vicious smile yet he still glances at Naruto. Let's go, Prince. An explanation was given from Horyon to Prince as the two were making their way out of the large room they were in with Yua looking at them leaving. Shouldn't we follow? She looks at Naruto questionably but he was just standing there, looking like he was stuck between a rock and Yurik Mazino who was glaring at Naruto repeatedly, every time he looked in their direction. You can if you want to, but I don't think I can leave. This merely gets a sigh from Yua just as Yurik spoke loud and clear. In a few minutes, the Zaijena will flip its body. It won't be fun to just fight a weakling so we'll play a game as well. This idea was unexpected. The Zaigena's flower you're looking for is up there. We'll fall on it as the Zaijena flips its body. If you get that flower before I get you, I'll give you the flower but if I catch you, I will take your life. A nod was given in response to his words. Alright, then let's begin the game as the Zaijena flips, boy. With that said, Bam stood ready and patient while Naruto stood in the same spot, watching. Not even a hint of fear towards the one that could very well match that blonde bastard king, as he thought that, his ears twitch and look in a different direction, notably the others and where they were located at. Let's chat. While we wait Fug member, I want to know something. I may only know a bit about your organization involving taking over the throne of Zahard but what's the fun in being king of the tower? It's only been run by fuck-ups. He glances at Naruto whose hands turned to fists yet didn't retort, something that Yua noticed. I want to leave the tower. He raises and stretches both of his arms out. There is a huge world out there, an endless sky, numerous stars that illuminate the night. It's a place millions of times more expansive than the tower, and freer too. Doesn't thinking that such a place really exists make what you guys want seem pretty trivial? At that point, Naruto remained unresponsive as he stared at Yurik, his gaze moving over to Bam while Yua stayed silent as the fourth strongest spoke. I don't need stars, a crown, or the sky. But if someone is trying to hurt those who are precious to me, I'll fight. As he spoke, everything started to turn which Yua yelps just as the blonde demon grabs her, holding her bridle style as he started running against the wall to match the turning of the massive creature just as Bam made his move, appearing like a dark blue comet as he passed by Naruto, heading for the flower that is now below them while Yurik watched as he floated in the air. 1, 2. As he starts to count, he stretches his body gaining cracks with his gaze moving to Naruto flinging after Bam while holding Yua who was gripping into him. 3, 4, 5, 6. As he continued to count, his eyes start to narrow as, despite the distance between him and Bam, he could see the young man was falling, yet his back was towards the flower and his body was facing him instead of focusing on the main game. 7, 8, 9, 10. With that, there was but a single flash of light that drew everyone's attention, with Naruto looking up at Yurik, who's begun to make his move before backing down, yet his eyes widened at seeing Bam falling past Akraptor, who was floating thanks to his umbrella, with Wangyan hanging onto him, while Horyong was flying through the air with a single wing and glowing arm, heading towards Yurik, who was about to go after Bam. The fuck are they doing? He grits his teeth at the stupidity. Stop him before he attacks. Prince. With that command, the light pink lighthouses formed around the large man while he was charging up his arm. You should at least bring an opera to stop me for more than a millisecond at the bare minimum, said the man who refers to the strongest lighthouse in the tower before effortlessly swiping him away along with the lighthouses. The sight caused Yua to bring up her arms while Naruto closed in on Bam, still watching Yurik as he fell towards the flower. We need to. She was stopped by Naruto grabbing one of her arms, surprising her. Naruto, what? Save your strength, that will have no effect. Like throwing a rubber ball, it's a hard egos. With that said, he looks to see Akraptor pouring his umbrella at Yurik as he fell, while Wangyan threw his pokeball at Yurik, said ball drawing Yurik's attention. Is that a pokeball? Was all he asked before he was consumed by the mini explosion that is soon blown away a millisecond later as the man blew through it, going right past the two and catching up to Bam while Naruto followed in tow on the walls. You're not running away? Questioned the strongest, who saw Bam preparing an attack. All right, he pulls back his own fist. Then I'll show you the legendary power. As he shouted that, preparing to strike Bam as the two powered their strikes up. Supreme King's Floral Butterfly. The two swung, but at that instant, Naruto, Yua, Yurik, and Bam went wide-eyed upon seeing the kid Mizing jump out of a tunnel, chasing after another baby's Aijena. Shit, thought only a few as everything turned bright white, followed by an explosion. In the second that followed, Wangyan had arrived upon the scene with Prince, Akraptor, Horyong, and Gosang. The group found the sight of an injured Bam protectively holding Mizing with a wound on his back, with Yua at his side, but her attention was on Yurik having Naruto held at the throat. His glasses had fallen to the floor. How long has it been? Mutters the man in anger, his fingers tightly gripped around his throat while the others could only stand there in shock. The moment Yua starts to stand to form kneeling, she was stopped by Naruto meeting her gaze, his eyes causing a chill to run up her spine, while the blonde shook his head and looked back at Yurik that was glaring at him, their eyes meeting. Give me one damn reason why I shouldn't snap your neck. I know the family heads can't touch you until you act against them personally, not sure what kind of agreement you made to make it so they can't touch you, but personally that won't stop me, so answer, why I shouldn't kill you now. As his question lingered in the air, Naruto, who was staring at the fourth strongest, the tension was heart-stopping before he finally replied through a choked tone. I didn't sleep with Garam, we are just friends, I swear. This caused those watching that didn't know the story to face fault with Yua's eye twitching. Yet with that said, the grip didn't even loosen yet, there was a little surprise in his eyes while the others who were listening were becoming confused. Plus, if you let us go, I'll give you all her hidden numbers. This caused the group watching this scene to face fault with Yua to face palming, yet all of a sudden the most unexpected thing happened. Really? Yurik said excitedly, putting Naruto down and letting go of his throat, which he was rubbing his throat, the man patting the young man happily. Why didn't you just say so? With a laugh, he starts to dust him off, the scene gaining looks of disbelief, mostly from Yua. Is every guy who's strong an idiot? Thought the 10 family members. I'll sweeten the deal and tell you a few of Garam's hobbies as well, in exchange we get the creature. This got a surprised look from Yurik, but he smiles. Deal, but I need your pocket number just in case to ask for more questions. This got a sigh from Naruto, who replies all the while the others just stood there, watching with looks of disbelief on their faces. Is Naruto a wingman? Did he actually defuse this with a pocket number? When it comes to women, how am I not shocked? As always, Mr. Naruto sure is amazing.